whoa, but when you're a surfcaster, it's the same thing. You're sneaking in somebody's yard. You shouldn't be there in the middle of the night when you shouldn't be doing it. You look over and you're like,
I've been fishing from Old Town Sportsman kayaks for years in freshwater ponds and rivers, saltwater bays, and the open ocean. They've become my go-to way to get on the water, and a big reason for that is they're designed and built in the U.S. by anglers who clearly know serious fishing kayaks and how they need to perform. The Sportsman lineup covers a range of hull designs with paddle, pedal, and power options to match your style. For open water and ocean fishing, I keep coming back to the Big Water 132. It's stable enough that I can stand and fish comfortably, fast enough to cover real distance, and it handles chop, current, and rough conditions without beating you up. A lot of kayaks make you choose between stability and efficiency, but the Big Water does a solid job of balancing both. If you fish mostly freshwater inshore bays or coastal areas, you'll want to check out the new Sportsman 120 Pro. Old Town took their most popular hull and they completely redesigned the topside. There's new seating, better storage, and a lot more usable deck space. It's a super stable platform. It's great for standing and sight fishing or for keeping multiple rig rods ready to go. At 12 feet, it's also easy to car top and manage solo. I love the 120 Pro's open deck for fly fishing, and I use it to chase striped bass in harbors and estuaries. Whichever hull you go with, I strongly recommend pairing it with Old Town's PDL pedal drive. It's durable, low maintenance, and simple. You can just rinse it off after a trip, and it's ready to go for the next one. And if you want a serious upgrade, look into the ePDL drive. Think of it like an e-bike on the water. Battery-powered pedal assist that gets you to spots faster and lets you spend more time actually fishing. Whether you're new to kayak fishing or you're looking to upgrade, I promise you will love fishing from an Old Town kayak. You can learn more about their full Sportsman fishing kayak lineup at oldtownwatercraft.com.
that's the funny part I think about surfcasting is it's kind of like being a fireman because you end up in places you really shouldn't be and no one expects you. Yeah. So like as a fireman, they're like, how do you see like I could tell you a fucking billion stories. I don't remember when we start talking, we'll just laugh our balls off. But like, what do you expect? Like, how do you see some guy with a fucking, I watch my language, with some stuff? Because when do people do this? They don't normally do this at 10 o'clock, like while they're at their office. They do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. But when I got to climb in your window at 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't expect me coming in. I'm like, whoa. And he's like, whoa. And we're all like going, whoa. But when you're a surfcaster, it's the same thing. You're sneaking in somebody's yard. You shouldn't be there in the middle of the night when you shouldn't be doing it. You look over and you're like, why are you doing that? And then if they really knew, they'd be like, why are you doing this? So it's the same sort of thing where you end up where you shouldn't be.
It's you got all the weirdos out after midnight.
Dude, you're at the weird hours.
One of my favorite ones, it was a night where it had started raining and I was in front of this house. This guy comes out on his front porch and he starts blaring Eric Clapton, the song Let It Rain. And it had started raining and you could smell what he was getting into, wafting down, and he's just singing it at the top of his lungs, dude. Having the nut. It's like 2 a.m. and
by himself.
Did
he have clothes on?
Oh, he had no idea it was there, dude. It's pitch black, and I'm just like, well, part of me was like, I'll join in, but I didn't. That's
the best. Like that's so cool is that you get to be. You're just a fly on the wall for all this stuff, and nobody knows because you're not really supposed to be where you are, but. And you just, it's cool.
Yeah, because you go out of your way not to be noticed. Yeah. You know, I mean, but even if it's somewhere you're supposed to be and you got there legally, it raises red flags for people who don't know what you're doing. Like, here's this guy creeping around in the middle of the night, and I don't like it. You know, like
you talked about that time we got caught too, and they were hiding behind rocks and the police, and then when we popped out, you know this spot too.
Man, I'm hiding. I'm
so
like,
we were hiding, and we ran with our bikes like over our shoulders, and then like finally the cops came and I took it. I was like, let me deal with this one. So
they're not going to see us. We're like we're all bunched up.
I thought it'd be way worse. If they actually came over the pile of rocks and like flat, and we caught five men just sitting there. We had Voorhees with us, so I just went out. And when I popped up, I went like, "Hey, like we're right over here." They both flashlights like up and down me, like wading boots, wetsuit, belt. Like
we're still in the bushes, kind of coming out like
one by one.
What's going on over here?
Did they? Would they just tell you to leave, or what?
No, it was actually really cool. So he said he was from New York, and Chris did too. And I said I was local, and then so they actually left. And maybe 40 minutes later, the homeowner called again. Yeah. And then I knew it was. I'm like, there's no way. Call for noise complaints. And the first time, I'm like, no chance, because I'm not even near anyone. Like we're not close enough to each other for to even make a noise, and barely any red lights. And they came back maybe 40 minutes later. And then I took it took it upon myself. I walked back to like the cruiser and I was like, what's going on? They're like, oh, he's called about noise again. And I'm like, no chance. And he's like, I know. Like, I was like, it sucks anyway. I'll take one for the team. I'll get these guys out of here. And then
well, the worst
woman
part
called-
about this is to go into a couple times I've fished with this guy, right? So I always come up in May. I'm not a big swimmer. I mean, I'll swim. Like, it's more of the wetsuit thing by me, unless you're I mean, in Connecticut, a little bit swim kind of far. But in Montauk, it's more to bounce around the rocks. And then there is some guys that swim, but these guys are always taking off swimming, right? So I come out the one time with me and Fred, and we go out to one spot, and I'm like, hey, are there great white sharks here? He's like, no, there's no sharks. Okay, cool. Trusting him. We're around his area, so we go out, we whack a bunch of fish. He's like, hey, the swim back's gonna be a little bit more. There's some current. It's gonna be way deeper. Okay, we swim back. Everything's cool. Everyone's getting their stuff. I think Fred lost his shorts. So Fred's looking for these shorts he wants real bits. Now we're like, because Frank, like, if you ever want to see him upset, I can't see it at night. I'm blind. Right, and we all know it's against surfcasting to like use your light. So this guy now he still does it. Like he's like, just try not to use your light. I'm like, I know, Frank. And you'll see like when I have to use my light, I could see his shoulders slump. Like he's disappointed. Like even the other night I had to put my light on. I see him like he doesn't want to say like.
I've gotten way more like liberal about the use of my lights lately. It depends on where I am.
Yeah.
But before, like Dave Ross, who you know, a good friend of mine. He would do what I'd call them light shows. Like it was like the planetarium show. He'd be out there like landing a fish, and it would drive me crazy. And I swear there were nights it killed the bite. But now I've kind of like come around on it. I'm not. See, I've never used a red light. I've never been a big red light guy. I've always. That was one of the questions I had. I want to ask you guys. Let's just back up real quick because we jumped right into this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right on this week's podcast, we have two of the most dedicated surf fishermen in the Northeast, and I love that I have you guys here together at the same time because I know you guys have done a lot of fishing together. You've got a ton of stories, and man, do you mind introducing yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Pete. I'm from originally from New York City. Been surfcasting for I don't know, probably 20 years, and I probably ran into Frank. I ran into Frank up here, and we ended up becoming friends, and we've been fishing together for about 10 years now.
Probably.
And not a lot of guys know we fish together. Like you keep it kind of quiet, but yeah, we fish every now and then.
Awesome, man. And Frank, I've run into you sometimes out in the surf. And dude, the first time I can't say was introduced to you was through the message board stripe-bass.com. So seeing your posts on there, and man, that was such a great community builder for like a lot of the people who I know now. I know their real life names, not their like superhero names they used on the message boards.
We can like go back from like Facebook and Instagram to like sb.com and Stripers Online. It was just man.
It didn't convert. So when everybody moved to Facebook, that sense of community, the storytelling
went away.
It went away, and that was the tackle shop feel kind of.
I would say like even like so with plug building, rod building, any of that stuff, or even doing well. Like back then you had to, I don't know, really like advance and try to like make nice stuff for people to seek out outside of those forums to like acquire something. Now like you can kind of spam, any social media and put in pictures and such. Back then, like you really like had to make something good and then better and then better. And then even after you made it better, like you might get like, one or two like inquiries, but for the most part, it was like a lot more humble, I think too. Like a lot less like, a lot more bringing up, and as where like Facebook's like knock you down, or so like any social media is, everyone's kind of.
There wasn't as much benefit to bragging on those. First off, people were faster to put you in your place.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going out to everyone all at once through like Discover Foods, because your average person from the Midwest sees a 30-inch fish and like that's the biggest fish I've ever seen. That's incredible, and you're catching it from shore. But on those boards, I mean, they were the most serious guys who were on a lot of those boards. So they did kind of keep things in check. They're just not the same now.
Yeah.
They don't have the same kind of activity, and it's...
Yeah, and if you if you started a thread, like right away, like I don't make many posts online in general or on social media, but if you did on that forum, it had to be like something of substance. You know what I mean? And if it's like something you could have like used the search bar for, you would get chewed out. But like, so everyone kept you to like a higher standard. So it just made you like all around better. Like, oh, before I ask this question, that's probably been asked. Like, what hooks go on this plug? Why don't I just go test swim it? And then you learn something, where now guys just jump on and it's just, spam. So yeah, there was something good about, man, like I'm not even sure when that switched, maybe like 2012, 2014.
It was right around there.
Segue to social media, but those early 2000s on forums were epic. Like and then they would have an event and then you actually got to see someone face to face that you like learned a ton to, or, you had a bunch of like private messages like cold winter nights discussing plugs or rods, or, spots, what have you. Like I met like a lot of I don't know, like a lot of like old timers on there that are since have hung it up, but I always try to like keep myself to their standard, even though they're not around anymore. Or I try to anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
It was, oh God, what was I going to say?
Hard to put into words.
It is. It's tough to describe it, but I will go back and like read the 2002 to 2006 posts once in a while, usually in the depths of winter or in the middle of summer when I'm like, I don't know, looking for another jolt of inspiration, and just seeing like some of there was great storytelling and great writing on there.
And Steve, Flaptail, I know you fished with him. I still remember
Steve
that,
Shareka.
yeah, like when he had passed and stuff like that. I do that with the plugs too. Like I feel like credit's never like passed along, but George Kreisman taught me like most of what I know about a plug, like building a plug, like how it ticks, or if he didn't like take time to do that, I'd probably never. So there's like things I would never know, to look for or what have you.
George is one of the, and these guys have come up on this podcast a couple of times, what we call the Falmouth fishing doctors. There's like a trio of doctors around Falmouth that fish. Alan Courts is one. And then, the last one's eluding me right now. But George would actually take the plugs into the hospital and X-ray them, like old plugs that were well built. Do you have the X-rays?
Try and find out where the lead was.
Like where the lead was, how they were laid out without destroying them.
Yeah.
Don't know what where that landed. He's retired now, so he can't get in trouble for it. But my nightmare was always like going there in a medical emergency and seeing one of these guys who I knew were up all night surf fishing. I'm sure would have got. They probably would have given me the best of care, but I don't know. Give me somebody who's well.
You don't have much sleep. Yeah.
So, how did you guys end up meeting and fishing together?
I met him at the Cape Cod Canal.
Did we? I was wondering that on the way up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I met you at the canal one night. I think we might have talked on something like a Stripers Online thing, and went down and we just talked a little bit, and I think we'd run into each other a bunch of times, and then through Lamaglass we ended up.
We had a couple of shows that we both had to work. Yeah.
And we just talked about let's go do some fishing. Plus, I like to try and learn as much as I can from people that are better than me. Because I'm kind of new to it. When I started traveling, I'm like, this guy's got something. Like there's something. There's fishermen that have
too much time on my hands, so I did.
Yeah. But I mean, undercover when your name we'll get to is Surf Jesus. There's something going on, and there's something too. So I'm like, I want to learn. I want to pick his brain. And then I think it just kind of. We both learned that we're both out of our mind and like the same thing. And that's the cool thing about surfcasting is if you're a hardcore surfcaster, do it a lot, we all do the same shit. We hide at night. We dress like fat seals. We release fish that people are like, oh, did you keep that or eat it? I'm like, no. So you're up all night for what? A fish that you're just going to let go? So we're all weirdos in our way that if you get a connection with another weirdo, it's great when you're like, yo, bro, you want to go tonight? And it's like, yeah. You think we're going to get him? No. You still want to go? Yeah. Like who punishes them? We're gluttons for punishment, and I think that attracts you. And when there's not many people that want to go those routes for the same reasons.
Most times I've been enticed to fish with you. You're like, it's good. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll come. And you're like, it's bad. I'm like, all right, I'm coming.
Yeah, let's get it.
Because I never want to keep you never want to be that dude that only comes, goes out or links up when it's
fair
it's good. So I always make it a point.
Yeah.
I always make it a point to like link up when I hear it's bad. It's better that way.
Buzzards Bay Yacht Sales knows that a great boat dealer is as important as a great boat. Why? Because new or used, you're buying a boat with 100 different systems and components that need tuning, training, troubleshooting, and sometimes repair. While most boat dealers are your best friend only until the sale is closed, Buzzards Bay Yacht Sales has developed a bulletproof reputation for building long-term relationships with their customers. Before, during, and most importantly, after the sale. Go ahead, ask around. We challenge you to find anyone who has anything but great things to say about Tom O'Toole and his team. With 6 locations from Freeport, Maine to Jupiter, Florida, including Marblehead, Massachusetts, and 3 offices on Cape Cod, Buzzards Bay Yacht Sales is committed to providing the best possible product, customer service, and support for both recreational boaters and passionate sport fishermen. It's true. Who you buy from is as important as what you buy. Visit buzzardsbayyacht.com today.
Have like a shared quest. So Dave Ross, I just mentioned him. When we met, like we were on the same level. And we discovered a lot of stuff together, and that's where what really kind of bonds I think fishing buddies is where like we're here, we've got a shared quest. It's not like there's not a great disparity in experience there, and I think that kind of leads to a good dynamic. But Pete, you were talking about how like you guys fish totally differently too, like how you guys have an opposite approach. Like me and Dave, we fish pretty similar. Like to an extent, you know, we both do our own things, but for the most part, like we're the same type of striper fishermen. You said you guys are total opposites. What do you mean by that?
I would say so. I'm not very analytic about stuff. I'm more ground and pound. Like it's a fish. Get me in front of it. I'm going to catch it. And I really, honestly, up until I really started fishing exclusively with Frank about situations, I was dead set on that. And I would tell you, no, you're wrong. No, there's no fish here. I was doing this. You obviously fish with better fishermen, and they show you that there are fish in these locations and how to get them. But the way Frank would talk about something and go about something, I would never think about it. And I would be like, no, there's no way. There's just no way. And then he constantly proves me wrong. I mean, I'll give you two situations. One, we had a really good bite going, and there were fish on jigs, right? And now you tell me, so for years I had these nice fish around, and I really upped all my gear because I just wrench them in. I want to wrench them in, pull them in, unhook them, keep going until I get the biggest one. And when the big one, I do get the big one, I don't want them getting away. I don't care. So my leader was up to, I mean, from the surf, I was throwing 100. That's what I would throw. And I didn't have a problem catching these fish. So we're out one night and we're fishing, and there's fish in front of us, and Frank's catching them and I'm not. And they're all nice fish, quality fish. They're 30-pound fish. And I'm like, awesome, Frank. Yeah, you know, first one, yeah, Frank. All right, second one, yeah, Frank. Third one, yeah, Frank. Now it's like, fuck, screw you, Frank. Enough. Can I catch one? So then, like, I'd be like, come on, let's get out of here. There's fish here. Let's get out of here because I can't get them. And he'd be like, 2 more casts. And then here, you know, big broom tail going. And he's got another one. So at the end of the night, I'm like, and he's trying to help me because he really, I could tell, feels sorry for me sometimes. And he's like, flutter it. And I'm like, fluttering it. Then he's like, no. They're right on the drop. They're right on the drop. And I'm like, enough, bro. I could see what's going on. I'm counting your rotations. I'm watching this. And he's a lefty. So like we could be real close to each other. And I'm like, what is going on? And at the end of the night, he's like, what leader are you using? I'm like, 100. And he's like, it's too heavy. I'm like, no, you're totally wrong. They don't care. I go switch to a lighter leader. And it wasn't they were seeing it. It's where the jig would sit coming over the ledge. But he was just.
I've done that the reverse. I've used like higher 80 to get like, so it'd float my jig more, you know?
So you're talking, so the diameter was the difference, not the clarity.
Yeah, he
and not
wasn't
the fact
thinking.
that they were line shot.
I remember this too. And you were fishing, I brought out like a 200 size Van Staal. You were having a 3, and I was like, it's the speed. Yeah. Like you're sweeping up this like ledge too soon. Like I was trying to think why, because I saw you going the same speed. This one time, that it reminds me of the story, and this really worked. And these jigs, and it's soft plastic with a jig head, and I wanted a slow sink. I've done the 80-pound leader, but it wasn't enough, and I wanted the flutter. The flutter is like that, like the little 3 shake up. Like I like envision it. It comes out.
I see him all the
belted
time.
down like out of my hand, so like I leave my wrist loose. But check this out. You know when you buy a wetsuit, they give you like a little patch. Like is a patch in case you get like,
to replace it. Yeah,
it's neoprene. Well, I couldn't get this like 1.5 ounce jig, and the 1 ounce jigs had a weak hook, so I unhooked it and I took the little patch and I wrapped the strip because it, you know, neoprene is buoyant. So I wrapped it around the jig, put it back in, like hit it, and then I fished it and it had a little more like float to it, so I didn't hang up and I caught a fish. And that's a wild story. A little neoprene patch I still get 1.5 ounce. I can cast as far. I didn't have to use the weak 1 ounce jig head hook. And it floated it just enough. I got 3 fish and started coming undone. And then the next trip out, I made, 4 or 5 with the rest of the neoprene. It was black on one side, green on the other. Came on a little zip tie. It really worked. Now that sounds great, but I've done a lot of these stupid things and a lot of them didn't work. So although I'm saying like this one time, my stupid little basement idea.
Have you held on to that? Like, has that worked?
I have them somewhere,
through the years? Yeah.
Yeah, I just cut strips, kind of what like a pork rind look, wrapped it around the jig head, hit it, and it gave me the same distance, but it gave me a little so I didn't have to fast retrieve a heavier jig, and it worked.
See, that's the analytical side.
Yeah.
The closest I've come to that is I put 2 pork rinds on it once when I was trying to slow the sink rate of a 2 ounce jig because it was a similar situation probably. Like I needed the distance, but it was shallow, and the other one was getting down too deep and just burying it into the bubble weed. So I put 2 pork rinds on, and it worked a little bit, but it didn't work great. Another
crazy one like that is we was talking about the canal back in the day. jig like 5-ounce throw jigs, right? And I'd make tons of them and lose a ton of them. And I made the plastics, soft plastics, and all my jigs. But they'd switch that eel bite, but they weren't on like the rip wrap. They're out on the bottom. So what I did was I made an eel, like a regular eel leader, and I put an eel on. And then on the leader, I slid down the 5-ounce throw. It's kind of like a 3-way you would use off a boat. So I'd cast it. The 5-ounce jig would be at the eel, but when it landed out, I can now my 5-ounce jig is sitting on the bottom. Now I could like open my bail and free spool the eel could swim away. And I got picked up doing that. But that's 2 out of 100 like 2 out of 100 ideas that ever worked out.
But you got to think these are the things that like you said, when you compliment each other as fishing partners, is once you see that there's something to his mad science stuff. And those are the conversations that you have at night. And that's what makes you excited that like I'm 48, but I still get like and I'll call him like, Frank, like the example, we had another good bite. And I could tell while we're fishing, his mind's going, right? Because now I'm fishing him for a long time. And I'm like, what is this guy thinking about? We're catching all these nice fish. And he's like, dude, when we lose these fish, they go here. And I'm like, no, they don't. There's no way, because it's nothing that a surfcaster would ever think about. And I'm like, he's like, they got it. I'm like, they got it. And then he ended up having to leave. We were fishing, I was pretty far away. And the next night, I could have went back to where I was going to whale him. And I went, you know what? This mother is right every time when we talk about stuff. And we talked about it a bunch that day, and he wanted to fish that night, but he couldn't. So I go back over,
I think,
and I come around, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, everything's telling me wrong. Everything from my surfcasting knowledge, look wrong. And go there, and I take 2 or 3 casts with, I think, an unweighted sluggo, and I spook one. I'm like, oh, I was throwing a riggy. I spook one, and I'm like, oh, there was actually a fish here. No way. So I put the unweighted sluggo on, and it gets demolished. Big fish. So now I videotape the thing, and I feel awful. I don't want to, because I know he can't fish, but I videotape. I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
Look at this slob. And
I was sitting watching movies like watching it.
But I knew you were going to be excited.
Right, you said they were going to be on.
That's cold comfort there. It's knowing you were right when your buddy's out slamming them.
And it turned into one of our better bites that we've been on, but it was his knowledge of just mad scientist. Like, this is what I'm seeing, and he didn't say anything. He didn't want to say anything, but I kept watching him look over his shoulder. I'm like, what are you looking at? He's like,
it's a double-edged
like,
sword.
they're in there.
Because I can be like doing well, like really well, and then like I'm never content. So I'm always like, where do they go from here? So if I'm catching them here, I'm like looking under that house that like its lights are on bright, so now I can see what's under there. I've never been up there, so I'm like, I wonder if they go here. I wonder if so I can never enjoy the moment because I'm always like, come on, where are they going from here? How long is this gonna last? Like, like
it
so
is. It's like, could I be doing better than I'm doing right now?
You, buddy, you're like, I'm pretty quiet, or like I like to joke a lot, like mess around, the old rod butt tap, stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm fine. Pete's like, as you can tell, like enthusiastic. That's completely opposite of me. And then like when he explained like being like a firefighter in Manhattan, like he's like, he called it the concrete jungle. He's like, dude, like I don't have to like deal with like smell like dead people. I have to deal with this. I don't have to deal with that. Like, so he gets like ramped up when he's out because he doesn't have to deal with all that. I'm like, oh, I get it. Like I just sit behind a computer, like, so he's just like, he feels like a free bird and loud and he's excited. I'm like, oh, that makes total sense now. If I had to actually do like a real job, I'd be like probably a lot more excited to be out as well,
So I don't turn my light on too much.
Yeah. It's everyone I fish with too. And I'm blind, but I just make it work. Ryan's bad with his light too.
Is it about the fish or is it about other fishermen?
There's science behind this. One time I was like leaving this spot and I heard what it sounded like a stampede, right? There's nothing going on. I fished for 4 hours. It sounded like a stampede, like just from Ice Age, a movie or something, a full migration stampede. I felt the ground shaking. It wasn't. It was like a giant school of peanuts, maybe an acre long, and bass slurping. I knew it. I thought that's what I heard. Just like an hour into the turn, I had a spot that I used to fish often, and then I went back and started casting a super strike dart, and I was catching fish. It made 25-pound fish, and then there's just nothing bigger, and there's peanuts everywhere. And then I didn't want to catch anymore. I was tired. So I'm like, let me just see. These bass are going so ballistic. Let me see if a light bothers them. So I turned on my white light, and peanuts, you could almost walk on them. It just looked like a carpet. And then I shut off my light with throw. I wouldn't catch, not till that light was off, maybe like a real 3 minutes. So that means if those fish are like, again, it was a bright white light, but that just goes to show if those fish were going that ballistic, and as soon as I turn on, so all you would hear is fish like demolishing peanuts. It's all in the rocks that I'm on. And then I turn on my white light and it's just, it sounded like the end of a song, like everything just like slowed down. So, and then it would take me a few minutes to catch again. So if the light bothered them with that much going on, you imagine on a night where there's not much. I even think like yelling, like when guys are like yelling to one another, I'm like, shut up. Like if it's calm, you know, if it's more like white water swelling, I'm getting at the end of my cast, like, yeah, I'll use my light a little bit more, talk, like scream. But if it's like calm, like slick.
But these are things you learn. Like when you respect the guy you fish with, even though you don't like I didn't
and
think
it's
they
not
care.
like I go out of my way to do it. It just became like subconsciously, like I creep around a little. I'm a little more stealthy.
We'll talk about. I mean? We went out one night and we were fishing pretty shallow water, and I heard his voice go, like he's like, cast, and I could hear he's shaking. Frank's cool, calm, and collected. I fished with Frank and Chris and one other guy. Like I'm the only one that's kind of a spaz out of the group, and like I'd be like, get him, and he's going cast. So I wing it out there and boom, 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 boom. I'm like, am I hitting fish? It wasn't. It was fish chasing my lure, and they were giants. And I landed one, maybe, I don't know, 2 casts later. And Frank had a heartbreak. He hooked a big one that broke him off. But we were going out there the next night, and we're getting close, and he goes, please, no light, please. And I could tell deep from his soul it came, please, no light.
What was it that got you so excited, though? Like, what?
The second night, like I asked to go first, actually.
Okay.
I said, wait here. And I climbed over this rock, and where I thought they would be, I like looked down, and it was about the size of this room. It was all bass, and I would not be exaggerating if you took a tape to each one, and they were all over 50 inches. They're all right here to blow up the story. I hooked one, dropped it, and that spooked them, so I never saw them again. But I got to climb over and visually, it's about the size of this, like 10 by 10 and they're half out of the water. You know, they're only in a.
So this is at night.
Yeah.
You're seeing
where we caught them the night before, a few. Or we ran into them. I had a feeling they're going to be tight there and they're unbothered. So I asked him to hang back, and I was like, wait 1 second. And then I went over, I literally, so they wouldn't even see my silhouette. I like red lighted them over a rock, and I was like, come here. Like, and they're just their back. So you did see them, so it's not a made up story. And these are all, if you took a tape to each one, I'd not be lying to say they're all near 50 inches. To just keep the story, truthful. But they're giants, and they're all just against each other, literally the size of this room, and they're all out of the water too. So you had about a foot, good 1.5 inches of tail in their backs, and then we went back because we're right looking at them behind this rock. We're trying to like peek, literally, and we went back and threw at them. And I think we each hooked one and dropped it, then never saw the school again.
Then they took off, blew them out.
I would take that vigil over catching one, I think, because I never, out of all my years, I've seen some wild stuff. I've never seen that many fish. Like, it looked like chain link fence, like they were connected. That's how, like tight they were, and it was the coolest thing. And you got a glimpse of them. So it wasn't like a made up story.
Could you tell what they were doing? Were they eating?
Were
they
just like stemming the tide. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I've seen that with smaller fish in some of our, like you go to flumes on some of the salt ponds here, and I'll see that with like 24 to 30 inch fish. But it reminds me of a story from 20 Years on the Cape, a Frank Dano book, where they were out one night and they saw all these black triangles, like they could just make it out, and they couldn't figure out what it was. They thought it was bass finning on the surface, put all this stuff over the surface, couldn't get them to eat. They realized it's in 4 feet of water. They realized that the fish are nose down grubbing sand eels. He figures out, he grabs a fly rod, jams the tip into the sand, and starts catching 40 to 50 pound bass on the fly.
Wow.
That's similar. That's like a similar story. I mean, I know you said they were doing something.
A little veer off from that. When I just went up to Surfland, this lady asked to use half my table. And it was Frank's daughter, actually. And she was there like with some of his books. And I'm like, your dad's my favorite author, And I still just blown away. Like, it's this woman for a little while. And it's like, oh, you might have read this. It's my dad. I'm like, no way, And her name was Susan.
Yeah, she just wrote a book too. She just has her own book out there. Kind of interesting perspective.
She left for a tide too. She's like, I'm going to go fish now. Like,
oh, really?
How cool is that? And then I remember a tidbit in one of Frank's books where he talks about, like they live in that RV on the beach, and he talked about how like difficult it was to get like intimate with his wife with 3 kids sleeping on the RV. And I always wanted to bring it up to her, but that'd be weird. But I'm like, well, she read it in the book. But there's so many tidbits, like Aura the Surf. I still read like 3 times a winter. Just that like forward of, I think it's Aura the Surf. So I ended up just buying 4 books. She only wanted $3 for them. and they're just Christmas gifts for people. Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. But I got to share a table with her, man. It was kind of cool.
So those books, man, I revisit them every year.
Yeah.
Eastern Tides, 20 Years on the
Tides good
Cape,
too, yeah.
and Trophy Striper, which is more of a how-to book, but he has little kernels in there, little tidbits. And he talks about there's another story in there where he was laid up off from work for a week or something. So he just striper fished every night. And he met this whole cast of characters out there that would go to the breachway that he would fish on. And it just,
Yeah.
You're talking about, it's a very cool community. You're kind of knit together by your weirdness.
Yeah.
I think he was originally from Rhode Island. He was like a salesperson.
Teacher.
Or a teacher. Okay, there you go. And summer's off. Yeah. There's not much I would reread, but I always read his books. Reread his books. And man, yeah, it was cool.
With the saltwater season in full swing, one of the best ways to get in on the action is by reserving your spot at the rail aboard one of the best headboats in the business, the Helen H fleet. They truly offer world-class fishing that begins in early April, with the starfish drifting over the winter flounder grounds in Cape Cod Bay. Come summer, the Helen H fleet starts running past Nantucket to the best fluke fishing grounds in the Northeast. If catching a doormat fluke is on your bucket list, these trips offer your best chance at hooking a double-digit flatfish. Some of the best fluke fishing I've witnessed was aboard the Helen H, but it was a trip that I had to bail on that still haunts me. One of my best friends, my replacement, caught a 14-pound fluke right under Jimmy's nose, which was a nice consolation, but I'd rather have been the one doing the catching myself. If you want to fish the canyons, a great way to experience it is on a headboat. Whether it's your first time or one of the few times each season you get to the edge, the Helen H begins running trips offshore in late summer. 2 to 3 day trips take you out for tuna, mahi, and swordfish at the edge of the continental shelf. I personally hooked and promptly lost my first ever swordfish aboard the Helen H on a canyon trip a couple seasons back. Can't wait to get back at the reel this fall looking to settle that score. New for 2025, anglers can find more rail space for Nantucket fluke fishing all summer by booking the 10-hour limited open boat trips aboard the Angler. Or, come fall, you can hop aboard their jumbo tog trips limited to 25 anglers running October through November. No matter the time of year, there's plenty of great fishing options with the Helen H fleet, but the boats fill up fast. So head over to visit helenh.com to book your trip today. That's helen-h.com.
Now, Pete, I can't have this in here for this podcast without asking about paintball, dude. So, you were a professional paintball player?
I was a professional
Shoots
paintball
me
player.
So, for how long, man?
Since I was 15 to 35, so 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you got to see the world doing that.
Travel the world.
And now you're traveling the world surf fishing, man.
Now I'm traveling the world surf. It's funny because every year the World Cup for paintball is in Orlando, and it's a couple hundred teams from all over the world. And I go because I enjoy it. And I see all my old friends, and they're like, dude, this fishing thing you're doing, like, how do you just pick up and go go fish in these places? I'm like, bro, it's the same stuff we used to do, except we were 20 years younger. I'm like, it's a passport, and now I don't have a paintball gun and a tank and a mask. It looks like I'm a terrorist. I've got a fishing pole and some lures, and they're like, oh yeah, it's much easier. I'm like, yeah, it's just the same. It's the same thing.
Any parallels between professional paintballing and do they call it paintballing? Do I sound like a nerd?
Yeah, paintball. Yeah, I guess I pro paintball. Whatever. Yeah, it's got the tournament stuff, the tournament fishing stuff, and the paintball stuff. Like I used to do the Striper Cup and the Go Tight and stuff like that. So that was the same. I'm a very competitive person. Believe it or not, I'm not competitive with anyone else but myself. Like I definitely get fish envy. Right. And I'm pretty cool about like this guy. I know when I go out with Frank, legit, not because he's sitting here and he gave me a ride, is he's going to outfish the shit out of me. I got him the other night. In one of his own spots. Glide bait, baby. I got him. I got him.
Get those things.
But only the next night he came back and wrecked me. But so that was it. The paintball is very competitive to win, but it taught me a lot about, in these day and age, is promotions. I learned how to like promotions through companies, because I worked with a lot of companies there. We had legit sponsors. Like in fishing, you hear of pro staff, which is a promotional staff. Not pro. You're not a pro. There's no pro surfcasters. You're a promotional staff where you get a discount, or companies give you stuff to test. In paintball, we were pros. We got a paycheck. You got paid. And you got contingency when you won. You had prize money, and you were a professional, so you had to act professionally. You did seminars, you did clinics. Same sort of thing is like a fishing seminar, and you had to wear the stuff that you had, and you learned how to like promote stuff. And
I
it's
never knew that existed until.
yeah, let's say undercover. It was like
didn't know there was
skateboarding.
a-
You were
yeah.
Frank was a skateboarder. Same,
Oh, yeah.
same type
that-
level.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Now, is it still popular today? The
Yeah.
paintball. So
it's huge.
as popular as it was.
no, the paintball industry overall, the tournament paintball industry started declining with the economy in 2007-8 because of recreation. Like if you can't buy your kids books for school, you're not buying them a $1,500 paintball gun.
Yeah.
And the paint's expensive and all that stuff. But as a tournament scene, yeah, there's still a tournament scene. I played everywhere. It was a lot of fun. And it's also same thing as the weirdos. Like in surf fishing, like we don't have boats. Right, like who are the cool boat guys? Like the guides and like the guides in the Keys, and they're awesome, dude. Like the Millhouse podcast, and like you listen to all these dudes, it gets your hair stand up, and they're cool. But like surf fishing's not cool. Like paintball, we weren't cool. We're geeks that dressed up and we shot each other. It's kind of like surf fishing. We're in a wetsuit. We're not surfers.
So it's a subculture, really.
It's a
that's what
subculture.
always kind of
Yeah.
What attracted me to it. One is that you're self-sufficient. Like I'm not waiting on somebody with a boat. I don't need a buddy to do it.
Yeah.
I can go do that on my own. Like my success in the surf is dependent on one person.
Yep.
Like I don't need. I can't say like, oh, if I only could afford that nicer boat. No, dude. Yeah, like I have what I need. I have a surf rod. I'm going to make it work.
Yep.
That's that, and the fact that it isn't cool. That nobody's. It's gotten cooler, but like around the time we all probably started, it was kind of thing like. I started surf fishing because I didn't have a boat. I was like, well,
Right.
I can catch these from shore. Well, I'll do this until I can afford a boat. Then my boat account went to my first man stall, and I've kind of never.
And
looked
that's
back,
that.
so.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were a skateboarder. I remember hearing that on the Surfcasters Journal podcast years ago, and the Tommy from there is he also from that background? Because you get that feel throughout that.
He's a little
that
more like
magazine.
Singer and a
Long Island
graffiti artist.
hardcore,
Yeah.
like hardcore music scene. He was in a band as well, man. That's pretty well known in like the Long Island hardcore scene. But he did skate. Yeah, it was most of my childhood. Yeah,
I think
There's a lot of
fishing helps
parallels.
transcend
yeah,
that.
It's the same thing.
Just-
But yeah, I could also, grab your skateboard and you can just go skate out here if you had an hour of free time, just like fishing.
Yeah.
So it makes, but with the boat thing, I used to think that, and that's how I got into fishing when I was a kid. But my old man worked at a marina, so that's all I did every day. It was epic. But yeah, sometimes I talk to people and they're like, oh, you fish from shore or just from the rocks? Well, I got a boat. Sometimes I'll take you out on it. Like, just like that's where like, I'm fishing from shore, but that's what, like my hope is to see someone take me on. I love it. I'm just like, oh yeah.
Sitting there
That'd be
longingly looking at the boats
Yeah,
go
yeah.
by.
like almost like pity me. Like, yeah, I got a boat. Maybe I'll take you out. So I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, somebody here, one of my coworkers the other day, accused me of being performative by saying that I prefer not catching fish off the beach than actually catching them on a boat. Stripers specifically. Like, I don't enjoy kayak fishing for stripers very much.
Me either, man. Terrible.
Something about it's because you can catch them from shore, and because they're so often feeding. It's short, like that's how I'd rather do it. It hit the point where it was a stopgap until I had my own boat. To man, there's no other way I'd like to catch them.
Yeah, we actually talked about trying to come up with a tournament series that we'd film around the world where it was a boat guy, a kayak guy, and a surf guy. And I talked to multiple people and they're like, the surf guy has no chance. And I'm like, no, that's not true because each way we fish, if you give us fish, pick a particular fish that's inshore, say a tarpon, right? Okay. You'd say boat guy's going to win every time. Well, the boat guy, yes, okay, but he can't fish tight to the rocks totally in certain conditions. He can't get out when there's weather conditions. There's certain things that they have limitations that a surf guy has over them. And same thing with a kayak guy. Each guy would have their own time that's going to shine. And it would be interesting to see with all these different species around, like, no, that's not fair. I can't catch them under the bridge. Well, I can crawl under the bridge and get them, but I can't catch them when they're 110 yards off the beach. But you can, and just see how that all would have worked out. It was just something that we had played with. But I think that striped bass especially, everyone has a shot at catching those fish.
So we've already gotten like kind of into the weeds on some of the like advanced topics, but I wanted to ask you guys some kind of like basic questions for advanced surf fishermen, and they're aimed at you guys fish a lot, and in order to do that, you have to kind of eliminate friction in other places. You've got to have your whole system dialed in, and by eliminate friction, I don't mean like leaving your wife and kids. Although this is the biggest source of friction for me. My friction's going to leave me is what's going to happen. So the first one, the first question is like, and this it's seriously 101 stuff. What do you guys do with your phone and your keys when you're out there? Are you like tuck them on the rear tire guy, or do you have them on your person?
Put them on the shock.
Yeah, I carry my phone. I keep with me unless we're swimming, and that I would stuff in the back of the wetsuit. But my keys are always. I'm not going to tell you where my keys are because
don't tell us. Yeah, they're on the top of my.
I would say, hey, he knows where to. You say, hey, if something happens, this is where they are.
So they're not on your person.
No, not the keys.
I sometimes lock them in because I have like a lockbox under my car. And a real quick funny story about that. I did a lockbox, like a little master lock thing. It's onto the your trailer hitch. It mounts into there. It's a little hard to get to, so I just go on the shock of the front tire, do the old look around. I think Mike Rocca, that's how I started doing that. And but I did buy Kobe, fishing partner of mine, like one of those lock boxes because he kept like losing his keys. And I gave it to him. It was $7 off Amazon, and it's just made by Master Lock. You slide a spare key in it, you mount it under your car, and because he'd like lock his keys inside. And one day, like got in his car, and your headrest where the metal thing is, the lockbox is stuck to there, and he's like, oh, like I finally started using it. He put a key in it, but he it's on the interior of his car, and I was like, bud, this has to be on the exterior. But I think of that every time I think of lockbox. Phone, I only bring it now just because of family and kids. I still refuse to get like an Apple Watch, but I still like old school. Like I still like if I need a photo, I like a camera. Just old Olympus stylus stuff's my way. I prefer no phone, just because I always have to worry about it when I get to a rock. I'm like, is this wet? And I've ruined a handful of them, but I bring it with me most times. I'll do bike basket, in a pouch, and then sometimes if stuff's a little shaky, I'm just worried about always like a phone call or something. I have to get home quick. So
yeah,
it's easier with no one home, but now with like children, I'm sure it's better to have it on me.
When Pam was pregnant with our first kid with Mara, like I remember I was very cavalier. Like I would leave the phone in the car and not worry about it. And then she was like, no, you have to have this on you. And I remember I lost my phone like 2 weeks before Mara was born. I was like, now write it out. Like back then, the phone would be gone and it would be like a burden. I used to love when my phone would be broken and wait a couple weeks for a new one. She's like, she drove me to the Apple store. Yeah. She's like 9 months pregnant. She's like, you're getting a phone.
Yeah, what if the baby's coming?
Yeah,
because you get to like check out, like if you like leave it behind and it's like just you and fishing.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I think I read something where were you fishing the canal when Mara was born? Was that? Did I read that?
Not quite that.
The days leading up. Okay.
In the days leading up, I caught my biggest ever fish, biggest ever surf bass, and man, it was a. I'll talk a little bit about that. Where like you said, we want to be stealthy and not scare the fish. This was a place where it was very snaggy, and I always felt like if I got snagged right where the fish were and I broke it off, it would blow them out. Like on the nights that I got snagged before I hooked the fish, I didn't hook one after that. And it was always my theory there was one good fish sitting there, and just the activity of like the trying to get it out would blow. I don't know if that was just a coincidence, but I never had a night where I lost the jig and then caught a fish.
Man, I took Pete into a canal spot the other night, and then it snag. I wonder if it's the same spot. I don't even think people know of like old staple canal name spots anymore. But I'll mention it after. But he asked exactly why it's called that, and I was like, "Oh, just think about it." It's ripping, and it starts with a J. It's commonly known as that.
Yeah,
it's just a rocky, jagged area, which I was thinking of when you were describing it.
So that was my theory that I would break it off anyhow. The fish were there, and if I could get the bite, they were all big. I had one open up a hook, I had one get me on there, and then I landed my biggest. And ready for the third night of it, and she comes wandering down, and she's like, I think it's time, like, I'm feeling bad. It was 2 weeks early. I was like, it's heartburn. It's heartburn. Like, go to bed.
Oh, my God.
And then, like, I like, begrudgingly took her to it makes me look like the worst.
Yeah, you're sick.
Yeah. So we go there, and then they're like, okay, you go get her bag and everything, and we're going to keep her overnight. Like, how soon's the baby coming? Like, could be 4 hours, could be 24 hours. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. I got a 20-minute window. It was peak tide. And every night at peak tide, I didn't. Because I called my enabler, who's Eileen Fee, my mother. I was like, Mom, like Pam's in the hospital. I think the baby's coming. She's like, oh my God, amazing. I go,
she was already in the hospital?
Oh yeah. I dropped her off at the hospital. I went back home to get.
Dude.
I had to get her stuff. She wasn't like in labor pushing.
Supposed to bring
dude.
that stuff. It's called a go bag, dude.
Well, yeah, dude, I've been up all night for the last 4 nights, okay? And I didn't think I was ever going to fish again after the kid came. Like, that was a. Do you remember the season before your first kid? Before.
Yeah, I mean, me and Mike, like, I did everything. Like, I flew to like Notre Dame to watch the Winter Classic. Like, you try to get it all in.
Yeah.
I think is what you're getting at. So I did everything, and like my excuse for doing everything was like, well, after the baby, I'm not going to be able to do this. But speaking of that, and I know it's not a baby podcast, but when Wolf, my first, was born, like same thing, like Liv was going in labor, I had a go bag already in the car, Jimmy. And when we were driving to the hospital, and we hit this like intersection, and it was like I could have ran the light. Then it's it's 5 o'clock in the morning, but or like there's like contractions, and like I don't know, it's scarier than whatever you read. So I like just turned on the radio a little bit, and like she's like, shut that F off. And I'm like, okay, we're just gonna turn that off. I was going through, and we joke about it till today. But yeah, you never know what to do. But, yeah, I knew to have the bag in the car and be all ready to go. And
So I go to get the bag. My idea for fishing for that 20 minutes was shut down. And I remember deliberating over like, what am I going to wear? I'm going to meet my child. What should I wear? And I remember like 20 minutes going through, and I settled on like a striped ass hat and a Phillies shirt. I was like, this will like, welcome to the world.
yeah, I also do this other funny thing that Livy reminds me of. They talk about like skin to skin touch, So like right when this is Wolf, I got better. Right when Wolf was born, they're like, oh, like some skin to skin contact. But they met with like Liv. But like I just ripped off my shirt, so I just did my shirt. There's all these people thinking they met me. So then I had to put it back on within an hour for my turn, which is wild. That gets brought up a lot in my house as well. But yeah, it was good.
Dude, so
Heartburn, Jimmy. Heartburn.
that was one of the,
it's just heartburn. Just go back.
dude. I will,
Get a couple cats.
I will never live that down. Pam and stripers have a tumultuous relationship. She said to me this year, she's like, I hate this time of year. I go, why? Because I was real excited about something, about the fish were back, and I'd had like a good day with glide baits, which I want to talk to you guys about glide baits. I can already tell your feeling about them. I bet you like them.
Oh, I love them.
All right. But she's like, I hate this time of year. She's like, I feel like I don't come first this time of year. I go, you feel like you come first the rest of the year?
I remember
And she did not laugh.
I remember once you posted like a text from her, and we did have a hurricane, and you had to clean some blue crabs or something, and you're like, and her text you're like, well, you're gonna do that outside, and your text back to her was, yeah, it's a hurricane outside, and she goes, yeah, well, you and the crabs can enjoy the hurricane or something. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I remember just reading that. I got a great chuckle out of that.
Yeah, because the crab shells get everywhere.
And my house was like blowing, and so it was like all relevant at the time. I could hear the wind howling 55 miles an hour.
Fishermen are kind of weird because we make excuses for everything. Like, and I think especially surfcasters, because we don't have this like set plan of getting on our boat, fueling it up, and going to do it. We make excuses to do it. Like you're saying, like, I got 20 minutes, only heartburn. We make excuses for everything. Me and him make excuses for everything. Let's do it. They're half rational. It's like we haven't caught fish in 3 nights, but the Southwest went east on a moon, which is a Tuesday, which means the fish might be here. No, they're not going to be there, but
we're optimists at the bottom.
Eternal optimists.
Even though it's, I will come into the office and I will say everything is shit and I haven't touched a fish in 3 nights. Have you heard that lately, Liam? Behind the camera, he's nodding yes.
Same here.
But then, like, you're always there. We'll be like, oh man, like you're always down. Why do you go? Like you got to have a better attitude. Like the act of going is an act of optimism. I wouldn't go if I didn't think there was a shot. And every night you find, like you said, the wind shifted. Yes, I'm going to do that. Or
it's a big tide. Or all right, I heard they just moved into this bay, which means there might be some creep in here. Like anything that would give you an excuse to go do it, we do it. I mean, I found that all the time in my life. I'm like, I really should be doing this right now. But like, all right, I gotta get my taxes done. We gotta put all this. But no, it turned east, dropped 10 degrees, and I got a new color. I'm gonna go get them. And then you're out there, and like 3 hours later, you're like, why?
There's no such thing as a short tide either. Like I'm like, oh, if it sucks, I'm gonna get out of here so I'm home by midnight. If it's good, I'll stay to 4 a.m. But then if it's bad, it's like, well, I'm here. Like maybe I'll find them. So then, no matter what. Like if it's not 3:54 and you pull in your driveway, like you're really fishing.
You said that the other day.
I'll leave if it's bad, but if it's good, I'm going to stay. But then if it's bad, I should be trying to apply myself, try to figure it out. So no matter what, I'm home in the wee hours anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
You're always picturing one making its way toward you.
Yeah.
You know, I fish, places where you're moving around and actively hunting them, then places where you're just kind of anchored up waiting for them to come by you.
Yeah.
And in those places are the hardest to leave because you're like, he's 100 yards away coming down tide at
more
me right
casts.
now.
Yeah, I did that the other morning. It was like really my last cast, and I screwed.
You gotta
It
bomb
does
it.
happen, but that happens 1 out of literally 100 times.
Not when you're
But
surfing.
next time I go out, I'm
happens
looking
all
for
the
that one time.
every freaking time. I can't believe that happened the other night too. He's like, yeah, it doesn't really happen here. Yeah, and he's like, oh, and he gets this really nice fish, and he goes, throw a sluggo. I was like, I've been throwing a sluggo for the last exactly where you threw that thing. And that's what I'm thinking. I didn't want to say it in my head. I'm like, I threw that effing sluggo 15 times before you walked over here. And he's like, sometimes they come out here. All right, just one more cast. Oh, lefty.
You know what I mean? I get more psyched on those fish than like if I feel like everything should be here and it like lines up and I can torque them, like because it's expected. But when I like do one of those silly things, last year I was fishing with Ryan Norton, and we got all the way back to our vehicles, like we were just gonna leave. I'm like, dude, let's just Hail Mary. And we had a bad like 4 nights, and I was like, let's just Hail Mary this. I was like, let's ride down to here, like take our bikes out, and we didn't even have them out. It's like pouring rain. I was like, let's ride down here. Drop in here, check this. And we went down. I had a little beach Masonito. First cast, 2 cranks, like a 38 pounder. And since we were like not doing well for literally 4 tides, which we're doing pretty well before that, I like screamed and he's down like, we're so back. But like that's 1 out of like 100 times when I could have just called it and just kind of regroup and go home. Instead, I do that. And like that was like that night. Yeah. But those are more like I get way more amped on because it never happened. So like the other night, like let's just let's creep over here, throw these.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it's the third spot. So I have these nights where I'm like, I've got my plan A, I've got my plan B, and then on the ride home, here's plan C. And if I can push myself to hit it, like that has saved so many nights, and those are the most satisfying ones.
Yeah.
You forget about the last 6 hours where you didn't touch anything.
That way about
One
fishing
bite.
in general. Like even on my best season, I have so much downtime because I always like try to think I can go to the safe spot where I know I'm gonna get fish to whatever, a decent size, but then I try to go for that like holy grail spot where you might like one bite, and so I have like a lot of like bad times, but I forget about all that. I can have a great week, but I'm like, what about the first 4 hours of every one of those nights? I never know until I fish with someone and they're like,
Surfcasting's
like, oh, this probably sucks for them, and it's like normal for me because I'm like, any minute now.
It's like your ex-girlfriend, right? You get punished, right? That she punished you the whole time, and then you break up, right? And then all you remember is the good times, like that bikini, or you're like, bro, remember that time she was making out with her friend? You don't remember, seriously, you don't remember all the punishment she put you through.
My
You just remember
ex-girlfriend's made out with my friends.
She's over.
Dude, that's so good. It's so true, man. And it just pushes you to keep going. And one thing you said, like that, it's not as satisfying when you expect it. And the more you do this and the longer you do it, the less you get surprised by things. And that's something like when you were first on that upward arc and like you'd be surprised and that, like the discovery. And that's tougher to maintain the longer you do it. But if you can manage to hang on to that, you don't seem to have any trouble keeping the excitement high. Like
I get excited pretty easily, but like you're saying, if you're always reinventing yourself, like okay, so now this stupid fly rod thing. Just quick story why I got into a fly rod. Right, so now, no, dude, there's no way I would ever touch this thing, right? Ever, right? So I go. One of my good friends, you know him too, but he's a huge fly fisherman, and we go to fish a spot. He really wanted to catch. He's caught so many giant fish. He wanted to catch another giant fish on fly. And I'm like, all right, fine. So he shows up and all of a sudden something different about him, right? He's like, oh my God, do you think they're gonna eat this? Do you think they're gonna eat that? And I'm like, what's wrong? And I hadn't figured it out yet. I'm like, he's like a little kid. Like, and he's nervous. I'm never nervous. I'm like, what is going on here with this dude? And he's like, bro. I'm like, they're gonna eat anything. Just throw it to him. He's like, so we get out there, right? He's so nervous, he forgets his fly basket. So we're 1.5 miles out. And he goes, I don't have my basket. So I have to run all the way back to get his basket because he's my guest, right? And then we get out there, and it was one of the spots that Frank had figured out, and I knew there was going to be fish there, and I knew they were going to be big, and there was fish there, and they were big, and they were out a little bit. So I go up to him like, "Oh, bro," he didn't bring any other rod, just fly rod. I'm like, "Take a couple casts, dude. I know you caught giant fish, but I'm legitimately every cast, and they're all big." And he's like, and he wouldn't do it. And then he finally caught like a 30-pound fish. And he was so happy that at the end of the night, I watched all that transpire. And I said, I want that. I want that feeling. How does this man who is world class in the entire fishing world feel like a little kid with this? Why? And I'm like, that next day I was like, hey, I know nothing about this stuff. How do I buy? Tell me what I need to buy. I want to feel like you doing that. And I think if you constantly change and do stuff, you will get that feeling. You can get that
I feel that way
feeling.
with like a fly rod, like anything. Like somewhere I brought you I had like a 20-pound class fish. Like I said, I missed like the strip set.
Yeah.
But I was so excited. I was like looking around to see if anyone saw it, like, which we would never do with a surf rod. You know what I mean? But it started ruining, like it ruined. I'd bring my fly rod and surf rod, unlike who you're talking about. But and I'm like, well, when it gets dark, I'll go like change my gear and switch out. And then it's 11 p.m. and I'm still with the fly rod. And then you start to realize weeks later, and this is like during the fall, like your friends like, how you doing? Like, I'm doing terrible. We're having so much fun. But it really can dampen like like success. And then when I get back to the surf rod, I'm so out of touch because I'm like here and there in every little weird fly spot. But I will say it's like the most fun you could have, But you get that like the same feeling you got when you started surf casting like that.
Oh, this year
I got the jitters. Yeah.
I had one on the fly rod. We found some nice fish. We were fishing together as usual, and we found some nice fish, and they were tight. And I was like, next time I'm bringing fly rod, and I got one. So now because he just takes off, right? So he's like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take a cast. I said, whack! Well, the fucking thing takes off. I'm like, holy shit, mayhem! And now I'm screaming, top of my lungs. I'm to the back. He's ignoring me because he's like, why is this idiot screaming? Finally, I'm like, I need help. He's like, what? He's coming over, see what's going on. I've got no, but I need help. I got this big fish with this little rod, and I was so psyched. But that's the excitement, and he was excited, of course, for me. I think he took the fly rod right after it. But he's like, dude, I thought you had like a 60-pound fish. I'm like, I didn't know what to do. My fingers are burning. We're not wetsuits. I'm like, can you take pictures? Yeah, of course.
I'll admit here, I did hear you the first time. I was just like, I'm far enough away where he probably thinks I can't hear him, so I'm just gonna roll with that.
I knew he heard me.
I just put on another eel, so I was like, nice wiggly eel. Like, I didn't want to walk back, so I went to the fort, right? Then I came back. I'm to the backing. That's all I could hear, like quarter-mile away. Yeah.
Little kids. That's why we keep doing it.
So something that's made like kind of freshened surf fishing for me this year is the glide bait. And I'll tell you what.
I have to go to the bathroom. Hey, like full disclosure, what's crazy is right after I haven't wanted anything. I don't know, never need anything. I have plenty of anything. Right after I did the Saltwater's Edge show, I sold some pugs and I'm like, I'm going to treat myself. So I actually reached out to Nate Medeiros, and I'm friends with his friend Steve. And I just went to Connecticut Surfcasting Club. So I was talking to Steve about it. I'm like, I'm going to treat myself. Reach out to Nate and asked to buy a glide bait. And I'm like, hey, I'll sit on a waiting list, whatever. He's like, I actually have something I could buy, but I'd rather trade. I'm like, great. Like, I'll be done with your plugs in a couple weeks. And of course, I take way too long. So I would have had it had I just bought it. Instead, I was like, yeah, I'll make I was treating myself, and I was like, oh, no, I'll trade them. And then, so now I still don't have a glide bait. This guy, just the other night, I mean, he's throwing it under my nose, literally. And this plucking fish out from under me. I'm pretty sure they had my name on. No, I didn't buy a bite. And I think he had 6. And luckily he dropped the big one. And but they he didn't lend me one the next night, but it didn't matter. I came back, but no, it was insane because I went through some some stuff I used when I really like some of those easy mode ones, and I still couldn't get it. They really just specifically wanted that. It was wild. So
I don't know why. We're like on the 4th week of the podcast talking about glide baits. But what excites me the most about them is the potential of daytime fish. And they're going to drive me to fish more during the day and the afternoons. And I don't, besides the canal, I don't do a ton of daytime fishing. But I'm excited to see what because they seem to pull fish out of nowhere.
I know the spot where you're talking about it. I was like, oh, I know where I want to go during the day now. I was like, now I got a chance being seen in some of these spots. But I have a feeling that if they're in there and you twitch.
He was just showing me, he was just working one like later on and like, in front of me, and just like the lull in it, and to add insult to injury, his rod was kind of in front of me, and then so like I could see when it like the exact point, or like it got like the fish loaded up on the rod, like fuck, but like I started putting that together and how it was working. Then later he just worked it, and it's like that lull, like they couldn't take the lull, like they just stall. Unlike say like a metal lip, right? Like it's a constant retrieve, and then if you stop it, just pauses, and then it'll like rise up. It just had like a lull in it, and I could see when it was hitting it. So later when he showed me the action from above, then I'm like, that's when they wanted it. So I keeping that in my brain so I could try it with something else. But it wasn't frustrating, but I mean, it was, I hardly have to go through my whole bag, and I did that. I did do that.
You got a fish though, or two?
No, I did not.
No?
Nope. It was the next night.
Well, then you walloped them. But the glide, so I have the same glide bait thing. Like I'd heard a little bit about it. Obviously, I live in Florida now. So I see all these glide baits. I'm like, yeah, there's just a million fish around up there. That's why these guys are catching them. But I've got a new little journey down in Florida. I know where there's giant snook. I see them. I know they're there. They live there. They're giants. Snook are very, for guys that don't fish for snook, they're very hard to trick because they're old and they live there. So if you can trick a snook, you need to usually trick him on your first cast. Because once he's seen a lure, you could see it from docks, you could see it, you can actually watch them. They'll come up, they'll nose up to it, they'll think about it, and then they just look back. Now a bass, you change your retrieve speed, you might get them to strike. Snook has already seen it and said, nope, that's it. I'm not, and you could throw everything at him. So I said, these glide baits are getting a lot of attention. I reached out, same thing Frank did. I'm going to treat myself. I call a guy, Jesse, I know, who makes the stride baits.
Stride, yeah.
And we have a little bit, he fished at Montauk one time when I was out there, nice guy. So I'm like, hey, and he's like saying, I have a waiting list, but I can get you one. And then he sends it to me. I was like, yeah, send me your Venmo. And I'm like, holy, what the fuck? I'm like, all right, I know plugs are expensive, but this is going to be my snook killer, right? So the spot I wanted to fish for snook wasn't ready yet. So I've been fishing for tarpon, and I'm on the beach one night, real calm, and I've got a rip with a little eddy in front of it, right? And the tarpon like to sit in the rip, usually when it's rough, it's night out, dark out. Me and my buddy have been fishing for about an hour and a half, nothing. Current's moving way too fast, tarpon aren't gonna eat. I'm getting ready to leave. My friend's like, I'll take some casts over here. I'm like, let me throw this, because I wanted to throw the glide somewhere else. I was like, it's got little bass hooks on it. Let me throw this thing and see, we'll try and watch it in the water. I hadn't swam it yet. So I wing the thing out there. It goes like a wet paper chip. Blip, 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 goes. I'm like, I spent $90 on this thing. That's a piece of crap. I'm like, all right, whatever. So now I reel it back in again. Next cast, it must have caught the wind the right way and goes kind of straight. Doesn't hit the rip, hits the back eddy seam. I'm like, oh, look at that. All right. So now I'm just trying to pick it up enough so that I could get my light on it and see it swimming. And I just pick up the slack, and it gets tight, and then the wind put a bow in it, and like this, anyone who fishes for tarpon knows that I'm not lying, this triple-digit dragon comes out of the water, and when they're really big, they can't come all the way out, like the giants. Giant tarpon, most of them over whatever weight, can't get all the way out of water. So it's things like this, and he throws the glide right back at me, and I'm like, yo, Dave, get over here. So he's like, what? I'm like, oh, they're here. And I'm like, all right, well, I wonder if it's this or whatever. So now back out again, another one. Back out again, another one. I'm like, my friend can't get a bite. He's a good fisherman. So this went on for like 45 minutes. Now it's shaking because I've learned something new. I didn't land any of the fish. They mangled the whole thing. Everything's, but I was watching the mullet, and the mullet would get caught in a rip, and then they hit the eddy, and then they would kind of like mull around in there. And I'm like, these tarpon have been sitting here this entire time. I used to be able to get them on weighted sluggo. So. And they don't want to eat anything, but they're here. And whatever. So I call Chris and my fishing partner, and I'm like, yo, dude, tell me what you know about these things, because there's something to them. I was like, this isn't luck. It wasn't where I was putting it. There was two of us. And then I started rifling through, like I knew where the fish were, so I'm trying other stuff, and they wouldn't hit it. Put the glide back on, another fish. Big fish.
You guys think like most of like bites or like a fish's reaction, you think it's just when it's kind of coast, like when you're doing nothing yourself? So if you like work at pause, when you do that, ultimately it is gliding or coasting, and it's kind of suspending. Is that when you find your hit, or do you find it under like a retrieve or a jerk? Or
it depends, man. So when I had a decent bite on them during the day 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago now, and they wanted it super slow.
Yeah.
And it was like just barely crawling. It would come into the shoreline to a little ledge, and then the fish would come, and it wasn't an aggressive hit. He would just
down or rod tip up?
I point the rod tip right at him. It's so much easier in a boat with a bait caster.
Yeah.
Yes. With the spinning reel, especially Van Stalls are slow. Well, I've got an old model Van Stall that's really slow. So you can't quite like get the real, they call it chopping, where you do like a half turn and it kicks way out to one side, another half turn out to the other. It's such an interactive lure that it gives you a chance to kind of figure out like, how do they want it today? And is there something that's going to make them want it more? Last year when I was fishing them, the water was a little bit warmer, and you could not burn it fast enough. It's like the magic swimmer in the canal.
Yep, yep.
You could not reel fast enough to keep it away from it, but like burn it and kill it, and it would just kick out to the side. And man, I have not landed a true giant on these things yet. I've seen them.
Yeah.
I had one last year, and like half of his back came out of the water, and the distance between it sounds like a Jaws line, but the distance between the dorsal and the tail on that fish, I was like, why could you not have just gotten those hooks? Like, please, like, I would never ask for another bass again.
Get them burning it fast as well, right?
Yeah, so burning's good, and then like at night, it seems to be the luck I've had with them, and I'm still very low on the learning curve with these things. I've probably bought more glide baits and lost them than I've caught big fish on them at this point. I've lost a lot.
How's your wallet seem?
Oh, dude,
Yeah, me
I've
too.
left $400 worth
like
of glide baits out in the surf the last 2 years.
A lot of stuff gets hyped, but then like I seen it before, even like the most recent hype. I was like, like I want one of these, you know. The other night was a proof, but I do like figuring out like. Depends on which bite, you know. Sometimes I feel that way with the soft plastic, and I mentioned the flutter. Sometimes it'd be like 3 up and they knock it down. The other 3 up, and then I realize when I'm dropping it back, they want it. So then I make sure on the drop back, I go slow as to not, you know, create slack. But yeah, I was trying to watch his and put together like when I saw, like I could visually see the rod like load up when they hit it and like load up on the weight. And I'm like, I couldn't like watch the rod in his hand. I was like worried, like, oh, it's mostly like on the pause and it's still just kind of coasting, right?
Yeah.
And I did that with like I got fish bananas a lot, like banana plugs, which is just a much more old school, you know. But like you'd have to like pick up the slack. But it's intriguing. It's like something I wanted to do. And then it's weird because I like before even the most recent hype, I wanted one. And then like I just getting
did you
outfished
crest
on
it or you're an anti-glide bait guy now?
I'm just getting outfished on it the other day without one. I'm like, oh fuck those, like, screw those things.
I was starting to see that sentiment online where it's like we haven't gotten to glide bait fish don't count, but it's like you know, like these guys are all hype and there's something to them. But
I'll fish an ale and then I'll be back up in there.
But I want to talk about banana plugs just because you mentioned it. So it's an old style plug. It looks just like a bunker, designed by an old plug builder, Jack Freck. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Out of Montauk.
Yeah.
And kind of, I guess, reanimated, you know, brought back to life from Paul Moriarty was
No,
one.
it's George Kreisman, definitely, for sure.
Okay.
One of the coolest times ever was he called me like one snowy winter night and asked if I wanted to learn to make them. And then Paul actually like elevated after, but like, yeah, he ran me through it on the phone. I'll never forget. I actually probably still have the notes from it, but like, you know, like in a vise with a spoke shade. But, and there was Jack, like Freck ended up like releasing kind of maybe in the Fisherman, like a how-to, but he actually made the dimensions wrong intentionally. So then the guys would figure it out.
We gotta follow back to that too. Go ahead.
Most things, George Kreisman, I always think he not only made it better, Paul definitely can make them incredibly. Like I always felt George Kreisman made replicas of plugs better than the original builder did. And I think a lot of builders these days, whether they know it directly or indirectly, like learn from George Kreisman. Like we make some, like a lot of guys make similar stuff, but you know, I would not be anywhere. I wouldn't understand what I understand to even come close. Like things I would never think about, but he made them originally, again, boat conventional. And I feel like I've learned to do it, like use them from surf fairly well. But
are you making your own, or do you have?
No,
children?
I just take Paul's. I just cry and beg. And
I'm on a waiting list with Paul right now.
Yeah, I don't know the real way, but obviously the most common things like how you fish them. You're a lot more in the driver's seat, man. Not to say like glide baits are just easy and stupid. Okay, no, but you follow hook your leader a lot. But I feel like it's really common online to ask like how they're fished. And someone like George Kreisman could probably tell you better than Jack, and then Paul probably better than me. But I live by like 11-1, kind of like 10-2 on a steering wheel. So I get like a cadence going, 11-1. Any more than that, or any too sharp of a jerk, you could put your leader around the front hook, and it becomes like an issue. And I've had success with it, so I can say that does work. That might not be the way they do, but I get like a cadence of like 11-1 with just picking up just enough of that slack, so it's doing enough of its own. My line's not too straight. But again, you will get looks when you won't get them on anything else.
Nobody's been able to explain to me what they do in the water well. Everyone's like, they kind of do this thing, then they do that.
Glide bait did a glide, it does a slash, I think.
Okay.
You know, and it kind of like, if a glide bait did like the Tokyo drift, like the banana does like almost missed my exit, you know, in my opinion, you know. I'd hate to say that, and like true builders of them say otherwise, but from a fishing perspective. And again, it's another reason why some like I building plugs, but then I build them, I hate it. Like sometimes I'd rather not know, just like music. Like I can't play an instrument, but I love music, but I don't want to because I'll ruin it for myself. So I don't want to build a banana because I feel like I figured out how to fish them to my best ability, and they do work for me. And I don't want to build them because then I'm going to start thinking in my brain. And as of right now, I just watch it being like, yeah, there's a fish here that's going to bite this. So.
Summertime fishing in the Northeast means cool mornings at the launch and hot afternoons on the water, followed by cold drinks at the dock. For days like that, the Hook A1A Pro collection is a winner. Made from ultra-comfortable jacquard fabric that's both lightweight and breathable, while also delivering UPF 40 sun protection that will keep me in the good graces of my dermatologist. The A1A Pro hoodie delivers a combination of airflow, sun safety, and comfort, keeping me cool on summer sessions, whether I'm on the John boat, in the Sound, or chasing that elusive swordfish out on the edge. Check out the full A1A Pro collection at hook.com.
Pete, you wanted to bring up the subterfuge in the
Oh yeah,
Fisherman
so
magazine?
just a little bit of the Freck story. So he fishes a lot of the areas that I fish, and there's a spot in Manhasset Bay. It's one of the bays by me in New York, and I have another fishing buddy who's very analytical, really good fisherman, and he called me and he started sending me these Freck articles from, I don't know, what, 1970s, 60s,
Yeah,
70s,
you're probably not far off there. Maybe
early 80s.
I think it's somewhere in there. I
70s,
think it's 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
maybe.
old. And he's like, bro, look at this. And so I'm reading them, and he's like, look, he's spelling it out. And he's like, it's so long ago, they don't mind sharing information. So I'm like, oh, he's right. So I start reading it. I'm like, okay. He's doing the talk, and he was talking about the banana plug at a certain location where he was catching small fish, but the boat guys in front of him, Chunk and Bunker, were catching whatever, big 30, 40 pounders. And he designs the plug to catch them, but he explains the spot he's fishing to a T. So my buddy's like, bro, dude, you fish pretty close to there sometimes. You got to check this out. So I, one night, get blanked at my spot. It's a far walk, total trespassing. Definitely could get yourself in a lot of trouble. But I'm like, I know now. I know where this guy is, right? He explained the tide. He explained everything. And it's a bay spot where the structure's not going to change very much. So now I start getting there, and I'm like, oh, I wonder how he used to get here. And I get there, and I'm like, this just looks like nothing. So I cast a bunch, and it's nothing. Like casting here, I'm like, wonder if it's a bunker fuel bite, whatever. And it's shallow, and I'm like, I don't know if this doesn't make any sense compared to his article, what he was explaining of that exact spot. So now I'm like, all right, let me just explore some, because I'm getting skunked anyways. I start walking down, and I hit something, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I hit an outflow, and then I hit bait. And then I hit the exact thing that he's saying in the article. Like you said, he explained enough, but he was lying. Ooh. And it's like one of those things, those memes where you see the guy putting the clown stuff on. In the end, he's a clown. But I'm watching, and I'm putting it together, and I'm saying, oh, this guy's lying the whole time. I'm like, oh, I'm a surfcaster, but I don't want other surfcasters fishing my spot. But I'm going to tell you my spot exactly in the magazine that all surfcasters read. I'm like, clown shoes I've had on for hours. This motherfucker's fishing.
I like some cryptic stuff, but I never thought about writing about spots where someone could think about it.
Yes, and then he changed the location in the location. And I'm like, because it's so pronounced that you could actually see, like,
See, that's next level deception. It's one thing to just like, I mean, the point of the story was how he came up with the idea for the plug, not fishing that location. So he didn't have to go into that much detail on where it was.
About the plug, so it's okay to do it. Just to go in there and like sprinkle it.
But like you said, he made the plug, but he lied about the dimensions. So this, I don't personally know this yet, but it's so surfcasting.
Like, the plug, so that's fine. But to this randomly, like, throw in like a spot says such detail, and then the deception there is.
Yeah, but it's so like when you tell some people ask me
photos of like my feet to get someone to move. Like I've done that stuff, but I've never thought about writing something I didn't have to, just to like
just throw people off.
Like we do a photo thing that's like,
wait, what's photos of your feet?
I have.
Oh, so people come over.
I mean, are you selling them or?
Nope.
I gotta take an Uber home, dude. I'm not in on that stuff.
What do you mean when you say that?
It's an old trick we used to do like back home.
We do it too.
Like if I wanted to fish somewhere, and there were kids there, and this has worked before. Like I would just take a bunch of photos like on a rock way far away, and then kind of like let them come down, and then I'll go off and around back to where I wanted. And then so like sometimes I'll go through like an SD card to like down click on my computer, be like fish, I don't know, like cool or fun set, and then it'd be like 18 of my boots just like somewhere. I try to get them to move a little. It's worked.
Yeah. We did the same thing in New York.
If you're having a tough night and you see a bunch of flashes popping off like walking distance,
Where are you fishing the next
it's
night?
very tough not to follow
I've done it all the time.
Yeah, you do too.
I don't use my light, but there was someone where we went when I found that fish elsewhere. Where like when we were leaving, we're talking about it was rewarding. I never use my light, and I'm like, I'm gonna use my light just because there's someone down where like I wanted to be, and I'll use this hardly to get a fish there. I got a little lucky. But I just did that, hoping that they would spend the next 3 nights there, like because it's very rare. Like I wasn't going back, but you know what I mean.
And Frank's a nice guy.
I would never write an article. Yeah, I get it. Like no,
We're sick, dude. We're
fun.
surfcasters are sick. Boat guys will tell you their numbers. Go do this. Surfcasters, but you catch anything? No.
so nice.
Yeah.
What's wrong with your hand?
Couple little fish.
It's an allergic reaction.
Old timer told me that. He goes, "You ever want to know a surfcaster is catching fish?" I'm like, "How?" He goes, "Shake his hand to see if you hurt him." He's like, "Because if you hurt him," he goes.
There's someone else that called me first, and he's like, "Oh, like if I go in a shop, I wear gloves. They don't see my hands." I'm like, "We're taking this too far. It's a little silly one."
For fish that we're letting go.
I still think about that, and I'm like, I hope he was kidding.
Yeah.
Do you guys fish in gloves?
I do.
No,
Yeah, I do.
no gloves here.
What do you use? Any casting
I
protection?
do, and
You got caught in his reel the other night.
The reason I do is because back in the day, like I'd fish the canal and surf. So if I'm throwing 6-ounce jigs, you got to have something on your finger. But then it kind of made your finger like too soft to like when you went to the surf to throw a plug without anything. But if I just surf fished, I wouldn't. But because so many nights jigging, now it's like protected and softened up. So if I went to the surf after, you would certainly get cut even casting a plug. So I'm a hockey tape guy.
So I use it's Coflex, and it's like a medical bandage that only adheres to
I asked
itself.
about that a long time ago. And then same thing with my buds use something else. I can't think of the name of it. And I look at the price and I'm like, I'll just stick with the hockey tape.
So I bought a whole bunch of it online, and I remember I might have put a picture on Instagram, and you're like, well, that's going to be the unlucky color now. Like it was a whole bunch of one color.
No, dude, I messed with you this other time. You posted like a fresh spool of braid. I was like, wrong color. And then like I saw you like a month later, and I was like, you're like, what, you think there's something wrong with that color? Like clearly I messed with you. And do you remember this?
I do. Oh yeah.
It's like blue. I don't know. And I just said like
it was like an
wrong
ugly
line.
color
No, I
braid.
said wrong line or wrong color. But you brought it up like a month ago. Like you're like,
Dude, I swear
baffled.
like the one that really bothered me was the tape, because like I am weirdly superstitious about like I buy multicolors.
I don't know why I say
packs.
that stuff for like
just to
the
joke
exact
around.
reason it works. It's like
But like I will have it like if it's a good color. Here's my superstition. I want to ask you guys if you have any too. But like mine is with the tape. When I get to the end of the roll, that's when it gets good. Like if I break out a fresh roll of tape, like that's it's going to take a couple nights for it to get good. And so I've worn down my casting
that's like
tape
a self-adhesive mesh. The hockey tape's bad when it gets down, and I only use one particular brand, just because it starts like, especially like in the summertime, like it starts like morph together. Just the other night, I had like one single strand come out between my knob and my washer. Got in there. There's always some sticky stuff, and it got in there, and I couldn't turn my reel. And I can't fish with a reel I can't fish with a handle like a knob that's too loose or too tight. If it's not perfect.
But I remember, so the top of the hockey tape will unthread.
Just one time ever for years. Like normally you get some like residue on your knob. So I like that. Or I think sometimes I smudge it off. But this is just one strand and it was completely stuck. So I tried to back roll it and pick it out in the dark, and I couldn't.
I could tell it was irking.
I was actually overfishing, but I'm oddly like that. I once told a story like with shimming my reels. Remember this? So like I like all my reels shim the same. So the looseness is there, just like my knob. So I would sit with shims to like the 2,000th of an inch, the 5,000th that like Van Saud made, and I would like re-shim them so that they'd be very close in like looseness. And then I'd try to look away and reel it, like reel that one. And I'd be like, this one needs like one less shim. So I'd go from like the 5,000th of an inch, and I would do this. And I told a few of my friends, like, that's nuts. And I can pick up any reel like on my like basement table, and they all like, it's like I was using the other one. So I love that. I don't know why. But they make shims like it's like a 0.002, so it's 2,000ths of an inch, 5,000ths, 10.
This is
but then
what
you could stack them, so it'd be like 5, 2, 7. But like I swear, man, I have like real bad like hands now. Like I'm always going like that. But I probably spent more time with a rod and reel in my hand than like if you remove winter off season, then I have not. So it's like second nature. So I want it to be exactly how I want it. So I shim them all.
You got to think of it. He said now 4 or 5 things that like the 11 to 2, right?
The cadence,
flutter thing.
It goes this way though.
And
I can do it. Like I could do it without like
If you're listening, it looks like you're conducting an orchestra. You're just kind of waving either
you're
side.
doing it wrong, but yeah, I get 11 to 2.
But do you see like from the outside, and me especially, I would think all this stuff's crazy, but this is what makes the difference, and this is why fishing's super cool.
Acting
Is
like
that one
Rain Man.
fish? Yeah, he's right. It's a little fishing Rain Man, or quote unquote Surf Jesus.
From underwear.
This is what there is something to all of this. And that proves it. When you are that in tune with your stuff, how you're doing something, how your glide bait, there's fish everywhere. I mean, there's always something there. And if you can figure it out, and I would say before I fished with Frank, this is nuts. But then I watched the results, and the results, it speaks for themselves. There's something to it.
There's a downside to it. But I always say with plugs, like no matter how much time you spend building like plugs, like better, I try to build like, not build more plugs, just keep building the ones that build better. But like I tell every person that ever gets it, it's like it only matters if you're throwing them to fish. So like while all those things matter, you still have to put yourself, in front of fish for any of that stuff to matter. But it's not like I don't Rain Man it. Like I just that's just a joke. But like I like all that. I like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like if I don't have like a perfect amount of liters pre-packed and all set to go, I'll sit in.
But that goes
I'll
to
bench myself for the night. I'm not kidding. Everything has to be.
no.
Well, yeah,
Dude, I have gone out there with one frayed leader just because I'm like, I got to do it. I don't have time to get
I
the
wish
other
I
stuff
could be that
together.
person. I wish.
But all this goes back to what we mentioned earlier about like if you're going to fish this much, having everything having a system in place that allows you to do that.
I covered that. Like I still like stuff will go into like a tote or a bag in the reverse order in which. So when I go fishing, my stuff comes out the way it goes on. Like a little crazy, sure, but they don't want to hang it up. I'm in bed in 5 minutes from the time I get home, and everything is washed. So I start my rod or reel because it's going in the house, and I don't want it to be wet. Like when I hang it over a bunch of like paperwork in my basement, so I wash that immediately. But I'm done in 5 minutes. There's nothing. When I go out, there's nothing. I don't ever do like, did I forget this? Because it's
Now
like,
do you know the time from rock to bed? Like, have you? I know one place. It's 90 minutes from when I decide
I
to
did
leave
have to slap
get
myself the other morning though, and I swear to never do that. Like
Oh, when
the
you're
way I
driving?
did
Oh,
like,
we didn't
keep
sleep at
myself
all.
up. And then when I got home, I laid on the couch, went to bed, and kids went to school. And then I guess it was real windy. And Olivia was like, dude, you're so out of it that our storm door, like the thing's broke, and I guess it smacked. And she said I just made a squeak noise and never woke up. I went, that was it.
This is when you know you're a sick surfcaster. These are the amount of alarms you have.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
You're scrolling up there in 2-minute increments.
Yeah.
Dude. So,
What's going on there?
I snooze them all the time.
dude, so I got a couple more basic questions, man, and then I have some kind of big like hypothetical ones. One is we talked about lights. What do you guys do for lights? What's your light setup?
Headlight and then a neck light. My neck light's really bright
on.
for always on.
You put some super glue. You got to put some super glue on the on switch so it doesn't accidentally shut off.
It's a good thing I carried the one around my neck. We'll talk about the sharks, but I carried the neck light for 2 reasons. Yes, because I can't see, and for fish. Actually, for 3 reasons. One is for using to get around. 2 is in New York and some places I fish in Florida. You hear like, oh, do you carry a gun? Do you carry a knife? No, I'm not a cop and I'm not Bruce Lee. So what am I going to do with any of that stuff? I'll probably just get shot and stab myself. But
what are the nunchucks for?
yeah, to hit the fish. But my neck light I use if, God forbid, somebody comes up in the dark and there's anything. You put a light on someone's face, you can get away really quick.
So
easily.
With that being said, can we touch on eel poops? The proper. I still tell this story. So I'm 2 neck lights always, which is crazy because I use a headlamp to get
the eel
ready.
poops. Yeah. Oh,
When I'm
God,
getting
yeah.
ready, I use
Ugh.
a headlamp. I use a headlamp to get ready. And sometimes it depends if I'm biking somewhere and it's a busy road. And I'll use it when I get home to wash down gear. But fishing, I just don't want it on my head for hours. So I go double neck light.
It hurts having it right there for me. At least
Heavy
I can
too.
feel it.
Yeah. And so I use 2 neck lights, but I've always used. I'll incorporate that story just so it's.
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
funnier.
Eel poops.
Eel.
Yeah.
Shits, eel poos.
Yeah,
I'm
no
not sure if you can
shits.
swear on air, but Pete calls me eel shits. And then I still have a broken tooth that I've broken, I don't know, 3-4 times. It's from Twist Lights. The little Princeton Tech 1Ls. I use them for years. But I'd put a little grease, but then sand gets in there and then I twist it. And then like a couple times I snapped off the veneer that was like made back on, and each time it was like $500. So I'm like, I got to get push button lights, right? And then one day I was fishing and P had a push button light. He's like, you never get like the eel shits, and I'm like, what are you talking about? So when you handle like riggies and I think it's more riggies and eel jigs than live eels, but then now you're not twisting it like this. Now you're pushing a button, but you're also putting on your eel. And then you're pushing the button. So now it's like definitely a transfer of bacteria. I'm like, you're out of your mind now. It's like, I got an iron gut. And then I woke up one morning, like complete diarrhea. And then I'm like, and then I did it again. And it's like, it's definitely like what he would call eel poops. Like, it's definitely bacteria. And it makes sense if you have eels, like they just rot until they thaw out. And I click them on. I use them week after week.
Yep.
But twice again, there's nothing I eat out of the ordinary. So now you think with the push button, unlike the twist, you are clipping on, like you're touching the eel. I always I run my hand down my eels like in the dark to check for weed.
No, and
I never
especially
heard
you're
of
talking
this
about
until you
rig eels
mentioned
or skins or something that is like thawing, freezing, like it's a constant state of decay, slow decay. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure
never
that's not good
thought
for. I mean, I
So now-
eat like such an
now I
animal
use,
that
like,
I just
now
I'm a
use
constant
one
state of
tooth
that.
to like
so.
click the button if I'm fishing eels. I'll use one tooth to click the button if I'm fishing eels, just because I don't want my morning to be a disaster. But yeah, so normally I just run my hand down my eel so I don't have to like turn on my light to see if there's like weed on my hook or what have you. But I called BS on this years ago.
It's true.
And no, it one day switched from a twist light to a push button dive light.
It's the hidden
It
danger of
most certainly,
surfcasting.
it most certainly,
You never know.
yeah.
What so you're using a push button light now? Which one is it?
I used two. Bud recommended two, and they sucked after the push button. And I realized he fishes only during the day up on the North Shore. I'm like, why did I listen to him? To get a little water in him. And I do like like any old school person, surgical tube, but I also surgical tube the top so I can bite on it if they're metal. But now I'm bound to the Nightcore M2 TA with like the red cap. Is my main red light, and then I just use one of the shitty ones that he recommended. Crappy ones. I stopped swearing. Is the backup, which is I can't tell you what brand it was, but
The one I've used for years, and I turned onto it years ago. It's been a Streamlight, and they're $25 lights, and they're push button, and they last for a season and a half, and then you get another $25 light.
the Nightcore is nice.
They're expensive. Are they?
They're expensive. They're great.
$44, and
Oh, that's not that
they
bad.
actually make a red cap that goes over them. And if anyone gets one of them, it's $5. Just dab it with super glue on or a Zap-A-Gap on each side, and then in case you do need a white light, you can break it off. But if you don't super glue it, it's gonna just fall off. Then you're stuck with two white lights. But I looked into some of those Orca ones, like their true dive lights. It's like $150. It's like, I'm trying to use the light less. I'm trying not to use it. But the Princeton Tech ones, if anyone doesn't have weak teeth, those are they're $11 at West Marine. So they put them on sale, and I'd put my hand behind the peg and I'd pull them all off, and then I'd have 7. But they never died. 2 AA batteries, and these things lasted half a season. Those were the better of them. But again, I've been exploring off the twist, like the twist kind, and trying to get to. And I prefer what is it? It'd be brake light repair tape over anything.
Yeah, I like the push button just because it's one hand on and
Yep.
off. So that's why I always.
Do you like marker? I do the brake light repair tape. You buy for $1 at Walmart, and I cut 2 or 3 pieces till it gets dull enough, and that's it. Yeah, I always think about like messing around with like blue or purple. So because if it's red, like you actually know the person's fishing more than if they had a white light. So I'm like, man, let me go purple or something. Just to be confused.
Yeah, similar wavelength. Fish
Then it
probably
takes me
still
a whole
gets it.
year to get used to it.
It is
set my
true.
ways.
You see I mean, this is more true.
Yeah,
Everybody's got a red light
so
now.
people don't know you're fishing. Dude, I see a red light, you 100% know someone's fishing.
That's
over.
true.
The red light's for the fish. It's so the fish, and it preserves your night vision. But
I fished
now you see a red light bounces down the beach, you're like, this is somebody
I
who knows,
fished
who knows
with a
something.
bud last year, and we saw some red lights, and I'm like, damn, they're fishing. We suck all the way around. And then there was like a little fire, and I'm like, oh, they have a fire. And then I smell hot dog. I'm like, oh, dude, they're not fishermen. They're cooking food on the fire. So then I started using my light, and then when I started to leave, they're fishermen, but they had a fire and they were cooking hot dogs. So I was like, God damn it! So I wish I just turned around and didn't go. But yeah, in some weird reason they decided to start a fire, and someone brought hot dogs. So I let my guard down, thinking they were just a couple beachgoers with red lights cooking hot dogs, but end up still being fishermen but making hot dogs, which is I've never seen that. Seen some
No.
wild stuff.
Surf rods. what's your season rotation look like? How many rods are you cycling in and out of over the course of a season? Like, I guess the better question would be, how specialized do you get with your surf rods?
Less than I think. I always say, like, I have one at the beginning of the season, and then I'm going to go up to a bigger rod. I might use that one tie, then go right to the bigger rod. And then just the other day when I took it down, like, it was still like sand and gunk under my reel seat. Just shows that, like, I never take it out. Like, I just use one rod all season. I can make it work for everything. And then I say, like, I'll build a rod specifically for this or that. And then I just use that as my universal rod. I make the other things work, except for a canal rod, which I brought out a big wig the other day, which is I cut down like a 12-6 and just made a unit. Just like when it's crowded, man, I like to like get my fish. So I just use a heavier rod than normal, but I stick with one almost all season.
What's the lure rating on it?
1-6. You fish it.
Oh yeah, so okay. So the Surf Machine Elite.
I haven't changed rods from the Surf Machine Elite 11.3 1-6, and I like, oh, maybe I'll. I will say that 3 inches. Sometimes I'm missing my leader by 3 because of years of an 11-footer. But then I built a 10.8. Then I build a 10. Then I have this, and I go, well, this is just for this. But I end up fishing one rod, and once I go over to like a 250, like I don't change, and then I morph everything else. I can make it work for live eels. I can make it work for, it could do almost everything. So I could get rod specific, and I think in my head, because I build stuff, oh, this is just for this area. But then I put that thing on, and I don't take it off. Like,
But that's I think a very unique rod, and that it can do so many different
light
things.
years above anything. And then I feel like even the 10 foots in it don't feel quite as universal as that. So I can use it for everything. And then so I built something else for other like applications, but that can do every application. So, and then it's like that same thing with my reels being shown. Like, I grab it, I'm like, that's where you are, like right there, So yeah, and then you ever switch rods and then like you can't cast it, like you start like line driving or shanking your cast.
Yeah.
It takes me like a week to get used to something different. So I'm like kind of a ride or die. Like I pick it out and then that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same thing. Now that I live in Florida, there are
Yeah.
times you need to.
You multi-species.
Yeah,
at that
it's
point.
multi-species. Striped bass, exactly what Frank said. I
What
will
you
in my
do
head.
is way more impressive because I couldn't jump from like it would take me like half a season to jump from bass to trout, dude. Like this guy can just like get on a plane, land. You can just land in Spain, catch a tuna, and like come back, and so props to you. I strictly like targeting one species, that like the majority. But when you can do that, like in the same week, it's impressive.
I feel like it does. I need to ramp up for the striper season mentality and that mindset, like to be able, like I do freshwater, weak fish, squid, all this other stuff, and then when it's stripers, I need to like slowly wade in. I can't just jump right into it and be.
I'm not ready until I'm ready either. Like I had some stuff to do before the season, which is uncommon, like building for something that was like late notice, and I'm like, I can't fish and do that. It's like once I fish, then I'm not going to do that. But once I like target and like locked in, like that's it. That's like it. Like you're way more universal than I am. Like once I'm doing one thing, that is it. You can catch a snook, jump on a plane, and still know like a good cadence for like straight bass. I'm like, I would not be speeding in my stuff.
But
still in snook world,
you've caught two things that I will never catch from the surf. I will dream and I may try someday. One's the halibut, which is extremely cool.
Yeah,
The
cool
cooler
fish.
one is the bluefin tuna.
Yeah,
Man,
bluefin's cool.
can you tell us that story? Or is that
Yeah. So I had I'd lost a big, what I'm almost 100% sure was a tuna. Surfcasting. Yeah, here.
okay,
Yeah,
so
here.
in the US, yeah.
Yeah, in the US. And it I was like, oh my God. I was like, that was my shot. Now I knew I wasn't gonna land that one. I don't know if it was too big. I didn't have experience, but it was so fast, and what it did to me, I was shaking and said, I'd heard of these things overseas multiple times from different guys. Like you can actually go start targeting them. And I had met a friend in Florida who said, hey, if you want to come over, we can go look. It's ledge fishing. You go to ledges and you go look for these tunas. So I was like, okay, cool. And I kind of mentioned it to my business partner in Phase, and I'm like, hey man, I think I'm gonna take a week and go look for tunas. And he's like, okay, yeah, go ahead, do what you got to do. And my buddy from Spain called me and he's like, hey, I think if you jump on a plane and come over here, we could ride from all the way from the north of France all the way down to Morocco, check the Mediterranean, and start looking around. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me start making some plans. When I gotta see check flights, and when should we go? He's like, tomorrow. And I went, tomorrow.
To add to that story, I remember like thinking in my head like, crazy because I saw you
Oh, at the
Chris,
Silverhead show,
the
yeah.
show, and he's like, tomorrow, like I'm gonna get on a plane and try to get a shore base. Like in my head, like I wasn't calling like BS. I was just like I wouldn't be like, you know, like I'm like the chances are like near nil. And I think I got a video 2 days later, like, you know, when I woke up, and it's insane, you know.
Well, that was pretty much it. Yeah, so I went over, flew in, got a rental car, drove to the
drop
coast,
one?
met my buddy.
Did you drop one or
Yeah.
you get
My first-
schooled? What happened?
The first one was a heartbreaker because it was on me. So they fish over there. They fish a certain lure that's like really lifelike, our sardines. The bluefin are feeding on
So
sardines.
it's
so.
called fish with three
Fish.
eyes.
Right, yes.
I cast down in Orlando. I went there one year, saw they exhibited, and I was like, man, like, can I get some of these?
Super lifelike.
They are they swim great. It's
Yep.
a super weird hook system.
Swim hook, a swing hook that you have to like.
He showed me one the other day.
It's
yeah.
a detachable jig head,
Yep.
and it has a swing hook. And I looked at it. And I did pretty well. I had a few,
Yeah.
and then I caught them and caught some fish on them and lost them.
They're expensive
But
too.
when you posted that, I was like, I recognize that's
That's
one of
what it
those
was.
lures.
So I went over and I talked to the guys and like, oh, you need one of these black minnow things. I'm like, nah, I got all this stuff. He's like, you need this thing. So I'm like, whatever. So I get out. First day I was totally solo, and I get to a point, and I'm like, oh, all right, let me go look. And my buddy was on a boat, and he's like, dude, they're around, and the conditions were perfect. So I'm out there, and then I saw him, and I don't fish from a boat. I've never seen bluefin before, and I really had to put my rod down for a minute and go like this. Am I seeing tuna in casting distance blowing up sardines? So they're porpoising out, and they're not the 300 pounders or 500 pounders here. They're 60 to like, I don't know how big. They're some over big, and they're
A manageable size. Like, you
They're
don't want to hook
manageable
a
size.
500
So you're
pounder. Sure, you're never going to get it.
man.
no, and you're on a ledge where it's 40 feet down right in front of you. So it's difficult, but I was like, oh my God. So I start rifling through all my surf stuff. I'm trying to get him to eat top water. I'm trying to get him to eat all my stuff. I don't have one of these black minnow thingies, right? So nothing, but I'm ecstatic when I meet my buddy. I'm like, dude, they're here. He's like, all right. So the next day we go out and he gets one, and he gets a, oh no. He went out and he didn't get one. The next tide we went, he gets one. He missed one. It's hilarious. I have the videos I'll never show, but he's dying. He's like, this thing's huge. It's probably, I think it was about 120 pounds, giant fish.
I don't
You
even know
can't
if I
take him
can
out of the
hang.
water. Bro, we couldn't
That's the other thing.
hang.
You're stationary, man. You're stationary, and then like when you think you're on a boat, man, think about how much you use like the gunnel to like lean against. Like
You're bracing
it's
your
like
knees against the
it's a-
gunnel.
yeah,
You've got a shorter rod,
yeah.
and you can lean back on it, and you've got a belt in some cases,
No,
or
it's
at least
just-
something. Yeah.
You put your feet into the rocks and you just
Yeah,
straight
which
on
is-
it. And you try and get as
yeah.
much power into the butt.
I don't think I can hang. I think I might be worse than your bud. So
But he got one, and then the next day I was like, all right, give me some of these fish thingies. Right? I'm like, all right, screw everything else. I'm gonna get one. And they came in at sunset, and I winged one out, and we downsized our leader to 60 because we were seeing the fish but not getting bites. We said, all right, we got to drop it. And I tied my FG 5 or 6 times, and I was having a hard time for some reason getting the knot right. And my buddy noticed it because I kept retying. And they came in, and I threw it out, and most of our bites were on the bottom. And I wing it out, and I see them blow up in front of me, and I hear them go real fast. I'm like, no shit. Because I'm watching them. I'm watching the one that ate it. He's flying in, and I'm burning it, and I see his, mouth, the tuna mouth open up, and I'm like, oh
saw
my,
the
he eats it. Yeah, I saw the eat. I have it on camera,
God.
and I'm like, boom, and I'm like, yeah, I'm screaming. It screams off, and he's gone quick, and I'm like, oh, he must have dropped it. And I reel it in, and I'm like, no, the lure's still here. What? Oh no, the lure's gone. I reel it in. There's no tension, and I get back to curlicue of the bad knot,
oof.
and now it was me, my only bite, and I'm like, oh my God, that was it. I was like, that was my one chance at a bluefin. I hooked it. I saw it, and I tied a bad knot. Fast forward the next morning at first light, I got one, and I landed it, and it was epic. And then it was great because my buddy was there and he helped me, and we were able to do a cool video. You can't take them out of the water. It's illegal. It's a 5,000 euro fine if you take it out of the water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't kill them. Nothing. It's a bycatch. So we unhooked it,
Yeah.
let it go, and then I proceeded. I landed another one but that was when I had them, and then I landed one more by myself, or leader touched and landed. I couldn't
you have
get it.
two short caught bluefin.
Yeah,
That's
one
crazy.
in the
How long
end.
are you like how long are you fighting these things for?
A long time, probably 20 minutes, maybe more, 25 minutes. And you have to run sometimes from ledge to ledge, and you got to take your line off the roller when they get in. You lose most. you know. And then I went this year. So that year I was there 9 days, 18 tides. I got 4 bites, 4 bites. Yeah. One I landed, fully landed. One I grabbed the leader by myself. One whooped me, and one that came off. So 4 bites. And then I went back this year chasing them again, and I got no bites, none. So it was difficult, but it's an epic fish. It's a very cool experience.
Yeah. Wow.
It's surf casting. It like, yeah, man, your heart's racing. The waves are breaking. I mean, you're pinned into these coral
I'm
rocks.
tired just listening to it.
That's cool, dude. It's super cool. Cool.
Frank, what's the weirdest thing you've caught while surf fishing for stripers up here? You ever get any, like, you ever hook a bluefin? You ever hook a sturgeon? Anything like that?
No, nothing cool. I've seen, I'll just make it funnier than that. Just made me think of something else. One day I was with this rock, a red light, and we were like fishing our rocks, and we were out there, and like, we're like right in front of us, and we didn't catch anything. It was a message in a bottle, like going by. So it was like, wow, we're like middle way. So you're like all excited, like your brain's thinking of a million things, and we both jump in the water, we get it, and like we go swim all the way back to shore off our rocks. So we open it up, and we're like it was like, I won't tell you the location, but it was like released here on this location at this time, which was just like two hours before. But we broke it all over. So the person was probably over to get like 4 years or now, like, so we smashed it, opened it, and it was released like 2 hours and like 15 minutes ago, like just not even a half a mile from us. We were excited. The person's probably still waiting for it.
Was there like an email or something on it?
I think so.
You should just wrote back like, hey, nice arm, dude.
Send another one out again.
Dude, I would have just put it back had it not been. But it was a total bummer, man. Like, yeah, for us, for the girl, I forget what it was. And she like wrote like where she released it, and like, again, all excited. And she's probably still waiting for like a phone call or an email. No, probably. I forget a lot of stuff.
When I was slinging eels at the tackle shop, the one reel that all the guys behind the counter were using was the feature-packed, durable Quantum Cabo. Fast forward 20 years, and the Quantum Cabo is back and better than ever for all our Northeast fisheries, from backwater fluke to midshore mahi. As a surf guy, I'm most excited about the reel being sealed to IPX8 standards. That means the reel can shrug off saltwater spray and splashes and even handle the occasional full submersion. Surfcasters also benefit from the Castex slow oscillating spool that lays braided line perfectly for maximum casting distance. GearTech machined gearing delivers a smooth performance with solid cranking power, and a CFX 200 drag deals up to 45 pounds of pressure on big fish. In the early summer, I tested out the reel on big snook in Florida, and I just got one of my own to use for the superior line siders, the striped bass. If you want to learn more, visit quantumfishing.com. Quantum, tested beyond limits. Yeah, I was thinking about, like, I spend a good amount of time out there.
I got a Joe Piver in the canal once.
What's
so
that?
I was jigging a Joe Piver lure, like the
yeah.
lure.
Oh.
It was like a 5-ounce like plug. I was jigging the bottom, man. I thought I had weed. Thought I hit like it has like those, like, it was on like near a kelp bed, and I got it up, and it was like a top shot of a leader and a Piver.
So that's a very coveted plug. Was it one of his 3 Ts?
Yeah. At first, like a fast sink model. So hence
Joe
it ended up on the bottom. Yeah.
Joe's like a really talented plug builder, hard to get plug builder, even harder than the glide baits. But he had a really unique topwater called the 3T that you could swim, you could fish it like a needlefish, you could work it like a pencil. And if you could get one and have it in the canal, like, you were the man. But they were hard to pull one off the bottom. It's pretty awesome.
Bottom, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Species, I'm trying to think, probably something bizarre. I've seen weird stuff, but I don't know if I ever hooked anything like too crazy. Few fish there.
I'm waiting for my sturgeon. Like, I hear enough people the guys who spent a lot of time.
I thought I had one going north, but I just said it was like a redfin, and I thought it was that, or like a 60-pound class fish. I just had a mid 30-pound fish hooked like directly in the tail, which I just don't understand the pressure and how it wouldn't rip through the tail. But I thought for sure, just by like the way it was swimming, I don't know what a sturgeon feels like, but I was assuming it wasn't one like a targeted species.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this has to be, but no, it was just follow hooked like in the tail. Other species no, nothing besides like bycatch and fluke or something weird like that.
I had a sturgeon scare me real good in the Connecticut River once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went in to fish at a spot I wasn't supposed to be and doing, the usual surf casting stuff. And I didn't catch any fish. They were knocking them dead the day before. And I'm like wading back through this guy's yard, and I'm like making sure I don't see anything. And out of the corner of my eye, I just see this thing breach and then explode in the water. And I'm like, Oh my God, what was that? Now I'm shaking because I'm scared, and I know I saw what I just saw. I have no idea what I saw. I'm like, is it a killer whale? Like, what could possibly be in this river? Like, it was gigantic. I'm like, okay, I got to get out of here. So I leave, and I'm watching over my shoulder. I'm scared the whole time. I get back and I call my boat buddy who had like kind of told me like where to go, and I'm like, bro, are there whales? Like, what is in there? And he's like, what happened? I explained to him. He goes, oh, it was a sturgeon. I'm like, it's a sturgeon. He's like, yeah, they jump out of the water, and I'm like, okay.
Dude, so we've talked a lot about how you kind of like as surf fishermen, there's not a lot of gear made specifically for the surf. You end up either shimming your reels or you're making your own lights. And Pete, one of the things is apparel. So you've started your own apparel company aimed at surf fishermen, and you're out there a lot, so you know a lot of the problems we face.
Yeah.
Just tell me, like, what were some of the things you were looking to solve when it came to apparel made for like boat fishermen to then bring it to the surf? Like, what's phase gear?
So phase gear is pretty much it's foul weather gear meant for surfcasters. So it's kind of the same way, like you said, exactly what Frank did, or like Van Stoll. It solves a problem. Like, right, my reel's getting wet. I need a sealed reel. This is happening. I need to fix it like that. And what I started noticing is that I would wear tops and they were heavy, or they wouldn't do something. There was always something wrong. Like, all right, if I'm in my waders and I take a wave here, I need to have a gasket around my neck. So I don't want to wear a gasket. It's not comfortable, and I don't want it so super tight here. And then, but if I'm staying warm, it's super heavy, and then I can't fish for hours. Like, there's got to be other things. And I have, my partner is a designer, and he comes from the paintball world. So we have access to being able to manufacture stuff, and he's super talented. And he came probably 10 years ago, fish Montauk with me, and he had a grand slam, which was awesome. He caught a albie on a popper, a huge striped bass, and a bluefish. And he's like, this stuff's super cool. We should do more of this. And we started filming, and he's like, I used to do some magazine stuff and some guerrilla filming with a GoPro and terrible editing. He's like, let me bring my camera around. And he brought his camera, and he filmed all this stuff. And we said, let's start a brand to help pay for some of our travels. Passion project. Yeah. And he's like, well, what can we do? I'm like, dude, I need a good top, dude. If it's warm, it's heavy. If it's lightweight, it's crappy. We need something that fits the way that personally that I was liking to fish. And I noticed that when I'd be in a wetsuit and I would get up on a rock, I was freezing all the time. But I didn't want to wear a surf top because the little swimming we would do, your arms would fill up, your hood would fill up. You get up on, you have to be trying to get all the water out, and it's like, oh, this is just uncomfortable. But so I started wearing just a windbreaker, like from a paintball company, but a windbreaker was perfect. You'd swim out, you get up on the rock, you take the wind, and it would knock the wind down, and you were dry. And you were good. You're like, oh my God, in a wetsuit I could actually be comfortable. And I talked to my friend, I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know why all you guys in fishing think that you have to wear all this heavy stuff. I was like, because it's durable. And it's warm. He's like, bro, it's 2023. I think we started. He's like, you don't need this stuff. I'm like, yes, you do. He's like, bro, I snowboard. He's like, I can fit my snowboard jacket in my pocket. He's like, it's way colder when I'm snowboarding than when you guys are in the water. He goes, materials have changed and advanced. So that's where we started to try and come up with something that's comfortable for us to fish in. And then since surfacing such niche, we were able to design it just mainly a couple tops for surfcasters, like a cuff, so that when you cast, it doesn't ride up on you. That's the worst. Or when you release a fish, your sweatshirt's wet and it's dripping down here. Like, that's terrible. Or we love the fish when it's heavy wind in your face, and every cast you take, your hood comes off, and you're like, dude, pull your fucking hood up, you cast again, and it comes off. So we designed a hood system that you could adjust with a rigidity to it so it stays on. You could get blown in the face 60 miles an hour, it doesn't come off. A zipper that doesn't come here, so you're like, and know this, or like trying to pull something across. I hate stuff around my neck. It comes up like a ninja. So when you take a shot to the face, and it's comfortable, it actually keeps you kind of warm when you breathe in it when it's cold out. It's just things that are developed for surfcasters, and that's pretty much what phase gear is.
It's great, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's giving you the chance as work now. You get to travel and see
yeah,
how
I don't
it
make
goes.
any money, but it's another thing. I know. You know, if
Nobody makes
knows,
money in
yeah, but we don't make
especially
any money
not surf
fishing,
fishing.
dude. Right, surfcasting. But it's something that fills a need for myself and hopefully other fishermen, and it's another fun thing to do. And I get to travel around and meet people and do more cool fishing stuff. Awesome, it's just man. It kind of fills a spot for me too. So we have a bunch of cool new stuff coming out. So hopefully we got I've got things that guys, like as a surfcaster, you're always messing around with all our stuff, like trying to make something else's thing ours. No, I'm making stuff for us.
Yeah, there's nobody really focused on it. Like companies will, we're going to try a surf top for a couple years, and then that gets discontinued, and then maybe another one's going to do it for a couple years. To have somebody who's out there doing it at a high level, then going and making it for.
And I think it's easy. I think it's easy also to start there and branch the other way. Because honestly, if you're a surf guy, not just because I'm only a surf guy and think boat fish don't count. Sorry, don't cry. I know it's a lot of boat guys out there. But if it works for a surfcaster, it's going to excel in everything else. There is no question about it, because think about the punishment that we put ourselves through in every condition. If that thing lasts 3 seasons, it's going to last 12 seasons on your boat. Yeah. If I can wear it while I'm hiking and swimming, you can put it on your boat and you're going to kick ass in it, in your kayak, whatever it is. It's getting put through the most rigorous testing right now, and all the bells and whistles are going to be away. How many pockets you need? Like you said, one for your phone, maybe something to put some garbage in. That's it. Pick up
nothing worse
the
than having low
stuff.
pockets just filled with water constantly.
Right. So now we have drain holes in our pockets, because that was something we initially had a problem with. Or when you swim, you get a parachute in your hood because you got all this water behind you and you're trying to side stroke and your hood's. So we got drain holes and all that stuff. It's just things made directly for guys that want to fish a lot. I want to say hardcore, a lot. You want to fish a lot, you want to be comfortable. It's nothing worse than being in a really good bite and being uncomfortable. But you're still having a good time because you're like, I'm catching fish, anything counts. 3 hours in, when you don't have a bite and you want to stay and you're cold or you're wet or it's heavy or everything hurts, is when you leave. This hopefully will help you stick it out a little more.
Stay out there longer.
Yeah, that's
Reduce that friction that keeps you from surf fishing as much
keeps
as
you fishing, keeps you fishing comfortably and somewhat affordably, because we all know we're cheap. We're surfcasters. we don't know any boats.
If you're fishing for striped bass this season and you're not in the Striper Cup, honestly, you're missing out. The Striper Cup is on the water's season-long catch photo release tournament that turns every fish you catch into a shot at winning some serious gear. We're talking gear from Penn rods and reels to Yeti coolers and gearboxes. Stuff you actually want just by doing what you're already doing, getting out there and catching fish. It's simple. Catch a striper, take a picture, take the time to release the fish, submit your photo to stripercup.com, and you're in. It doesn't matter if you're fishing from shore, boat, or kayak. There's even a youth division, so everyone has an equal shot. And the best part, you don't need to catch a 50 to win. Every inch of your best 3 fish earns entries. So the more you fish, the better your chances. It rewards consistency, not just luck. Every week, we draw winners from each division, featuring their catch for the entire striper world to see. So if you're already chasing stripers this spring and summer, you might as well make it count. Head over to stripercup.com and start turning every fish you catch into gear.
What are you excited about this season? What's got you fired up to keep going this year?
What do you think?
Just a few new things I was building, and I want to fish them and then put them to fish, and then eliminate. I feel like I had a really good year last year and the year before, but then I want to make it even better by eliminating or segueing to different places or different times when I thought I already should, but actually like last year was the example saying I know to really do it. So now if I don't do it, there's no one's fault but mine. And then just same amount of time fishing, which is a lot, but just see if I can't capitalize on it more by just better decision making. And then, like I told you the other day, I always play the long game. So even if I have a slow start, it never matters. I always put it together. But yeah, I do feel like maybe overstayed my welcome here. I didn't get here earlier enough. And although I'd have no complaints if it was just a repeat, I just want to I want to trim the fat a little shorter. And that's I don't know, that's what does it for me. Just if I can take the same amount of time and
anticipating where they're going to be.
Yeah, not 2 times. I have more fun doing that than reeling in fish.
Find them.
I just need the hit to know they're there, and obviously you want to land them so you see what they are, and then it counts. But yeah, that's my little that's the chef's kiss is guessing and not guessing. It's an educated guess, and then it happening, and then they're there. When you're 3 hours into a school of fish and they're beating you up, I'm like, is this really fun? But just capitalizing. Again, it's kind of like editing a video, just chopping this out, removing what I thought I could have done differently last season, and just making this one a better version of last year and the year before that. And that's it. I never have I never have like a goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of the same. Just finding them, like finding where they're going to be, and honestly, for this season, not like we have to be conservative. All of us, man. There's not a ton of fish. I don't care who you are, what you think. Like it's just how it is. We know there's nights where there should be. We catch 3 fish. There should be 30. Yeah, there's really good times, but there's really bad times. And also to get new guys involved that are doing great. Like you see all these videos of these kids with the glide baits and the fish eating them, the drones, and like all this,
I'm kidding.
all this stuff. But get them as excited about us, because that's the next generation about fishing, because that's the next generation that could get their voices heard better than we can. Right? We've started to learn a little bit. They know how to even better. Get those guys to be like, I love fishing, that excitement of calling their buddies, and 9 of them are down there, 2 guys have broken
I'm gonna
rods.
send them all paintball videos. Be like, look how fun this looks.
right. That's we're doing the complete opposite. But let's do what we can to protect these fish and everybody's pastime involved. Everybody who does it. That's the best that I could for the season.
Guys, well, best
Yours, Jimmy? Yours?
Oh, me? Man, I'm excited about the glide bait. It's going to force me to get out there more during the day. And I want to, similar to what you said, I'm a homebody. Like I will linger in areas and I will beat a dead horse. My fishing tactic is a war of attrition. Okay. I will go out there and I will cast until either I give up or the fish do. And I want to be more proactive about finding them. I want to move, be more mobile. And as opposed to, I have comfortable places. And I said this to somebody last year where I would rather get skunked somewhere I know than get skunked somewhere else that I don't know. And that's
Really?
yeah, because I feel like I'm I'm not taking a Hail Mary shot downfield. Like they're slower play. So I want to do more, let's call them Hail Marys, but like educated shots downfield where I'm trying new areas, as opposed to the easy thing is just go where I know.
Blanking though, like 4 nights in and like I'm just stubborn and then you blank again, and like those always hurt a little bit more. Like they sting because it's like you knew 2 nights ago you already should have switched it up and you didn't. You're like, well, maybe like he'll start a little late. So I think when I, not the Hail Mary, but when I go further away and I blank, it's like, at least I try something different, Frank, you know? So it's like it's a give and a go.
Yeah,
it's nice though when you get blanks, but you're only 15 minutes from home versus fucking 2 hours, but there's that. But yeah.
Yeah, so branch out more smartly. And, because we've talked. I take some crazy Hail Marys early in the season.
You do, yeah.
And then I will use all those up, my goose chases. I will get the goose chasing out of my system by June 1st. And then when I should be, I'm done with it. I'm like, you know what? I put thousands of miles on the car and I didn't catch hardly anything. So now let's go see if this spot that was good 10 years ago down the road.
I feel like that used to be my old habit. I kind of broke from it. And then sometimes it's beneficial, other times it's not.
I used to go to spots early for years. Be like, I got to beat the bite, get there first, and then try and get on them before the crowds did. And then I was learning, and like you said, I've used my Hail Marys. I would do that 6 times and be like, oh, forget it. I'm not even going back to that spot. And then the spot blows up because you know it's going to blow up. It always does. But by trying to be, it wasn't very good. I learned to stop doing that. I'm like,
it's
all
in
right.
your head though, and like, you know, you should be there, and like starts to consume like, your thought process. So it's hard to be like, let me go do this until that's closer to the time that's going to like turn on, you know? It's the same thing. You drop into a spot, you get fish right away. You're like, well, tomorrow maybe I should come 2 hours earlier. But it still happened at the same time, you know, like as it did. So it's hard not to do that. Or like think of something else that's going to occupy the 3 nights that you want to fish until that bite really starts. So I've been there many times too early and then give up on it, and then it turns.
Damn it!
Yeah.
What the?
That's the toughest.
Yeah.
Oh, I was there 2 nights before, and then it was like, no, it didn't happen yet. And that didn't happen for everybody.
Just have fun too, man. I still have like a blast. Every season I worry like I just hit 40 and I'm like, man, like we were talking about earlier, like a little more sore. I'm like, damn, this is gonna suck. The lack of sleep, like we talked about, like, man. But then I'm like, every year I'm worried that like it's gonna like wear off, like my like excitement and the enthusiasm for fishing. I'm like, when I was young, I skated, and then, you know, it's like you transition. I'm like, man, is it gonna, you know, it's not the year I'm not gonna be stoked. And then I get out there like one tide. My bud Ryan texts me that it's still retired, and then I got out. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do tomorrow night? What am I going to... So as long as I still have that, I'm always afraid it's going to go away. But after,
it's not.
You know, 2 decades, like I'm still like, just after being out, we still have 2 nights in a row all night. Like, I mean, I didn't get home till 10 a.m. You know, like, I'm like, still like tired, but I'm like, everything's like all the gear is going now. Like I'm back and I'm like, whew, like I don't have to worry that, you know, everything you like love about it, like you don't care anymore. Cause like in the beginning of the season when all my friends started finishing, I'm like, yeah, you know, like, I'm trying to finish this, but it's back. I'm happy. And
I don't think it's going to change.
I always worry, yeah.
Like the guy that I said with the fly rod, 60 years old, done it all over the world like a little kid. I went to Norway, Larry, the guy who owns North Bar. It was his 75th birthday. 75, and he is.
I hope I'm sleeping when I'm 75.
He's everywhere, and I'm like, Larry, listen, stay home tonight. Like we were in our little cabin, stay home tonight. I'll go out there. If they're there tonight, they'll be there tomorrow night. He's like, if you're going, I'm going. 75. It's not going to wear off.
You see me at 75.
You know, that's.
Just tell me to go home and sit on my couch.
So what you said, I'm worried about getting excited for the coming season. In March is when I have those thoughts where I'm like, oh my God, like I've gotten comfortable over the winter with my like regular bedtimes and
so
not
nice.
being tired all the time. I'm like, am I going to do this again this year?
Well, most people don't know is how hard you go. I see you out like pretty common. And then Kevin brought it up the other day. Like I don't see him surfcasting anymore. He said he does much more of the kayaking during the day. But yeah, what most people don't know is like Jimmy goes hard. Like you'll go on a 3-night bender and I'm seeing you 4:15, you know, and like, but then you just came from here and you're going there. And I just primarily do bass and some trout and stuff like, but then before that you're like largemouth bass fishing. Like, and then after that you're doing something else. And then you have like work fishing, which seems to be separate, like whether you're off with Robbie or, so it's like, yeah, I think people underestimate how much.
That's the love of it.
Yeah. Not many people know how much you surfcast either, which like you keep like, you know, I think Jimmy takes a lot of shots at himself, but he gets it done.
I love it, man. And
Yeah.
like I said, I dread it going into the season and that first trip, dude. Like it's goosebumps. I don't even know if they're going to be there yet, but the rod's in the truck, the plug bag's packed, the suit's on, and I'm like, dude, I can't get there fast enough.
Do you maintain it all season?
It ebbs and flows. Like you can't maintain this excitement.
I think I do, dude.
Do you really?
Yeah. Once I start, like I was real slow starter, and then like and then I'll like. I mean, complete shut off. Like when my brain will just go to like, I'm going to go get wood for lures. I'm going to do that. Like or build a rod. But yeah, no, once it's high, like, I mean, I get that on the same, like, it's hard for me to like go on like a family vacation on like July 4th. I'm like, no, like giant fucking fireworks. Like I'm trying to fish.
Oh, there's always
like,
something
just,
tugging.
Yeah.
Back,
all of August, I'll like, I ride that same high all the way, just slow started, like slow incline. And then once I stop, I'm abrupt. But you see, I know you do ICAST.
The excitement's there. It's the attitude though. I get into my like little slumps and dumps, and then come back around. Get like you find a new thing to get excited about. Like this moon, the full moon, that's going to bring them in because the tides are going to be bigger than the new. Or like tonight, we've got a wind shift. We've had some heavy southwest for a while.
I'm going east.
Wind shift to some people. It's like I don't know. I've had a good on the southwest. I've had a couple slow nights, so this to me is like I'm ready now. So, but guys. Thanks,
dude.
so much.
That was awesome, Brett. Thanks for having us, bro.